It's episode 214 of the Lookout Sir Warhammer podcast. My name is Dan, and it's, of course, my pleasure to introduce my buddy Phil, who I do this podcast with on the regular. How you doing, mate? You doing well?
Oh, I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. You know, living in a perpetual state of indifference at the moment. Not that I'm particularly angry or uncomfortable with anything. I just don't really, feel much of anything at all right now. Numb, I would say. Numb.
Welcome to middle age.
I think that's what it is, I've got a general sense of indifference, as I've already asserted, towards, life, the universe, and all things in between. Although on the plus side, Phil, as far as I'm aware, no one is directly trying to do harm to me, although maybe I've upset one of the listeners out there somewhere who probably is, seeking me out to, stab me up. Yeah, maybe. But I hope not, because, I would, hope that they appreciate that I'm a fallible human being who's, not able to be, 100% of the time. So, hopefully they'll find it in their hearts to forgive me of any kind of wrongdoings I've done towards them. But anyway, as I say, on the whole, I don't think anyone's out there trying to hurt me, and my body hasn't quite fallen apart yet. So, it's all on the up, I say.
That does sound good, yeah.
Absolutely. How about you, Phil? Is your body holding together in your middle ages? Are you managing to keep on in there?
Well, I'm struggling this week purely because obviously I went to Warhammer World on the weekend, and yeah, that sort of event where you stood up for a whole day is not what I'm used to. So
that's fair. You got a rumbly tumbly.
Well, just generally it was shattered, but also I think I've got some sort of weird stomach bug from possibly from the weekend. Who knows where that came from?
Well, there you go, mate. Well, thank you very much for giving us your time, regardless of your, of what ails you. We've already recorded episode 214. Bizarrely, we do the intro as the last thing, because it enables us to kind of talk about what we're talking about in the show, which is what, Phil?
Well, the main bulk of it is Codex, Supplement, Space Wolves, and Black Templars, a double trouble. For all your sins. We obviously, prior to that, do a little ramble, sort of like an old school outro, but as a mini intro, talking about my time up at Warhammer World.
That's it. So yeah, we do all of that, and then we end it with our 5-star review, which comes by way of Apple Podcasts of Great Britain. Again, I say this in the actual 5-star review segment, but we're not necessarily setting the world alight when it comes to reviews outside of Apple Podcasts of Great Britain right now. Not that we're angry about that. We love the fact that people are leaving us 5-star reviews wherever they may be. But yeah, if you'd like to leave us a 5-star review like the Average Heretic did over on Apple Podcasts Great Britain, that would be absolutely awesome, because we'd love to have the chance to shout you out over the internet and call you a wonderful human being, much like we have done with the Average Heretic. So if you are that individual, listen to the end and you'll hear us say nice things about you and your incredible 5-star review. So yeah, 5-star reviews, really useful. Please consider doing them. Also, liking and subscribing really helps us. So if you can do that as well, that would be utterly amazing. We do obviously have a Patreon as well, because people in our kind of line of work, have a tendency to do those sorts of things. Our patrons are the reason that we're able to keep on doing this pod, because, the world and all things in it are increasingly expensive right now, and it's because of that we really respect and appreciate everything that people are able to throw away, but also don't expect it. People ultimately listening is good enough. And then lastly, there's merch, which is supplied by our friends over at Rev Level. Check them out in the link in the description. And that's it, I think, for plugs, right, Phil? There's nothing else I need to say this time around.
Well, if obviously people supporting us on Patreon is greatly appreciated, but what you can also do is go out and tell your friends about Lookout Sir, and they can become listeners, and they can then tell their other friends about Lookout Sir, and we can get a nice little Lookout Sir pyramid scheme going on, where we get new and more listeners, and they can do the 5-star reviews, so we don't run out. Because if we run out, the show ends. That's always been the rule that we've laid out. So you've got to step up your side of the bargain, listeners. Make it happen.
Well, that's it. It would be a terrible shame, actually, wouldn't it, Phil, if we did genuinely run out of 5-star reviews and went, oh well, that's that then. Jobs are good.
Down tools, everyone. Time to get home.
time to go home. Anyway, it's not time to go home, though, Phil. It's time to get on with the show. Cheers, everyone. Again, massive shout out to our Average Heretic who gave us that 5-star review. Check out the stuff at the end for that. But hopefully you enjoy us waffling on about Black Templars and Space Wolves. Transitional noise. All right, in this bit, the main bit of the podcast, I'm so still used, Phil, to introducing segments, but we've kind of stopped doing that now, haven't we? We just do this bit and then a 5-star review bit and then we call it a day. Although obviously there will have been the intro bit that came before this. So yeah, all exciting. How was Warhammer World, Phil? Did you have a good old time?
Yeah, no, it was really good. It was completely exhausting by Sunday because it was 3 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday. So yeah. Crazy.
What time did you get finished on the Sunday?
Relatively, I think they did the awards around 7, so shortly after that, I think.
Blimey,
so it wasn't too bad.
7:38-ish.
No, probably more like 7:30, I'd say at the latest. I don't think it went on later than that. I think they managed to bump it forwards a little bit.
Because typically at Warhammer World, on the Saturdays, the last games on the Saturdays feel like they finish around 8:39-ish, typically. So
yeah,
they squeeze your schedule?
Yes. So originally, they said, you're only meant to have 2 hours 15 per match instead of 2 hours 45. But they said, no, we're still trying to give you the full time allocation. So I think they just condensed the breaks down, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. I think we also started a lot earlier on the Sunday as well, which helps.
That is pretty mad, to be fair. But yeah, no, fair enough, mate. I mean, again, part of me was sorry that I missed it because I always enjoy a trip up to Warhamster Worlds with you fine folks, but at the same time, it sounds like a very grueling affair. And it also sounded a little bit convoluted in the way they were doing it, right? Because, they kind of did away with the traditional kind of methodologies that we've seen in play at Warhammer World, which is, an emphasis on soft scoring, your favourite game votes, your favourite army votes. There's a very hobby focus typically. And I think they've hit a really good happy medium with how they've done the golden ticket by being able to essentially have the two events almost coexist. So you have the kind of soft score friendly version played out alongside the more cutthroat, proper, dare we say, version, the two, coexisting. But yeah, this just seemed like it was just all game score, right? So none of the softness, just all the hard gaming.
When it came to the final rankings, yes, there were favourite game and favourite army votes, which was specifically to win a best army award or a favourite opponent award, or most sporting, I think it was called. So those two were still up for grabs, but they didn't impact the main scores, which is a shame because I think I would have done quite well potentially if soft scores were thrown into the mix. But who's to say? Because obviously it's all a bit arbitrary in terms of who your favourite opponent was based on who else those people played.
Well, that's it. But, you are a charming chap, Phil, so it's reasonable to assume that you could have, won people over with your incredible charisma and pretty-looking army.
Yeah, probably not some of the games because they definitely didn't enjoy playing against Nighthaunt. And one guy was specific to go to length to say, it's not you, it's just Nighthaunt. I really don't like playing against Nighthaunt because of their 4-up saves. And I was like, my friend Richard would completely agree with you.
Well, there you go. Yeah, Nighthaunt are definitely enjoying their kind of boogeyman status, which is obviously a result of their overall aesthetic, given their kind of ghostly form, but also, their gameplay mechanics at the moment. Although obviously you're not taking, I should say, the most optimal way of playing the Nighthaunt right now. But even then, it sounded like you did okay, because you got 4 wins, right, out of 6?
4 out of 6, yeah. I basically won 1 game Saturday and lost 2, and then I won all my games on Sunday. So there was also in the format, there was a Saturday only event and a Sunday only event as well, because it was actually 2 separate single day events but you could also go to both as a weekend ticket, which is what me, Richard, the Quizmaster, and Tim were doing. And what was odd about that is if you were a weekend person like myself, we all participated in this Saturday-only event. So the winner of that, I think, was Eddie Eccles, who's a Games Workshop staff member. And he was playing the whole weekend. And I think he came second or third overall across the weekend. But the Sunday trophy was specifically only for people that played on Sunday only and not the weekend people either. So, because I did 3-0 on Sunday, so I could have, placed or something, but it wasn't to be. But it was odd that the Saturday people weren't exclusively the only ones playing on Saturday, but I assume it was probably due to the convoluted scoring nature or the pairing system of a mix of people that played just Saturday, people that just played Sunday, and people that played both. Maybe it was just too complicated for them to work out. But I thought there was like a little odd inconsistency between the two, that we're eligible for one day trophies, but not the other one.
Yeah, it does seem really odd how they chose to do that. Again, makes very little sense to me, but at the same time, I don't know. They have a habit of experimenting with these things and not. I think they've definitely done well with events where they've had a number of years to kind of define and, I suppose, refine the process through trial and error. But then when it comes to these experimental elements, because I remember years ago when we did the triathlon, which had a very similar vibe to this, where they basically got 3 individual events and kind of slapped them together into one weekend. So it was like a kill team event, or no, it wasn't kill team. It was like one of the smaller Warhammer 40,000 systems at the time, basically 1,000 points, whatever. This was back in like 7th ed, I believe, and it was like that, a regular single game and then a doubles game, and yeah, it was just a very weird system. I seem to remember, and didn't really. I mean, it worked all right in the sense that it was just basically 3 individual events, but it was a bit convoluted because they didn't really do anything to celebrate how they brought it together. And it sounds like the reverse is true here, where they were like, whatever. I assume you gave them your feedback on the matter, and
yes, yeah. So there's always a feedback form, so I filled that out sufficiently. I hope I mean, Nighthawk aren't necessarily the boogeymen because there was 2 other players. One of them won one of the best army awards. I think it was like 2nd or 3rd place, though. It wasn't the top spot on the Sunday. But they placed down in the 20s or 30s out of, I think it was 39 players in total across the whole weekend. So it was a very quiet event. Like, we only use, how the tables are split into 2 banks, so you can walk down the middle. It was literally just one half of those tables. So normally it would be twice as many at a single day event. So it was definitely felt noticeably quiet in the mornings at Bugman's. You're like, where is everyone?
That's Age of Sigmar for you, though, sometimes, isn't it?
I think it was probably a combination of the format as well as the fact that Age of Sigmar isn't as popular as 40k, and the fact there wasn't like a doubles event, which is always like the most popular format, regardless of the system. I sort of wish they would have thrown in instead like some element of soft scores. I think sometimes they maybe weight too heavily towards them, so it's like you can win 2 games and lose 3, but then win the overall event, which seems a bit too much. Whereas I think sort of you've gone 5-0 or 4-1, I guess, and then you get favourite game votes. You should be in contention to being able to win as like a best overall.
No, I totally agree with you. I think that would be a good way of approaching it, but. It's interesting with Warhammer World AOS events, I suppose. I think the thing is with AOS is that AOS obviously is less popular than 40k, but I think AOS is kind of, I suppose, it's different in the way that people approach it from an events perspective. But I think as well, the Warhammer World price point, I suppose, hits a bit different. But I think at the end of the day, if you offer people a kind of tried and true Age of Sigmar format, i.e. a 2-day grand tournament type arrangement, I think people show up for those. But I think when you start doing weird different things, and also the price point, right? Because like GW 1 days are like what, 50 quid, something like that.
I mean, they probably are now, because a weekend ticket I think is about 100.
Yeah.
Which
so that's the thing, isn't it? It's like it's a lot of money. Yeah. When you consider the most local events these days will be charging anywhere between, well, depending on the scale of the local event, it'll be anywhere between, I suppose, 20 quid, 30 quid, whatever it is. I just sort of think like,
you know, it includes lunch, which is always good, and
lunch.
snacks now in the afternoon.
Oh, they do snacks now
so
on the regular day.
So they brought them back, because obviously they did it one time when we went, when the canteen wasn't working.
They didn't do it at either of the golden ticket events I went to.
Maybe it's just because it's a quieter event. But yeah, they brought the snacks back, which was appreciated, especially since the Saturday I had literally no time between my second and third game. Basically, It was a quick trip to Vlue, and that was about it.
Magical.
Yeah, and because you're doing so what was also good about the best army voting, historically the judges would go around, pick their top 5, and then they would go in the cabinet over lunchtime and people would vote on those. Instead, everyone gets to set up their armies on the table where they just played, and then everyone also gets to vote, which is great because it sort of feels a bit fairer, because everyone gets to be eligible to vote. But the downside is it means that, one, it sort of eats into your lunch break that you're setting up your army, but also that you're then voting on everybody's armies, and you've got to make sure you try and go around all the tables to see everyone. And then you're doing, on this weird 2 1-dayers, you're doing it both Saturday and Sunday, because there's obviously different people coming in and out. That really eats into your lunch breaks, unfortunately, doing it that way. But what was sort of nice is the fact that the people that won any awards on Saturday for Best Army weren't eligible to win them on Sunday. So it wasn't the same people picking them up twice. So it sort of gave you a better spread of awards, which I thought was also good. Nice, man.
Yeah, look, I mean, overall, it's always fun headed up to Warhammer World. Interesting that the attendance wasn't extraordinarily amazing, but I suppose, there's a multitude of factors probably to consider that add to that. But long story short, sounds good, bro. Glad you enjoyed it. Well done on your 4 wins and your 2 losses. What was the overall tally for the weekend in terms of where did you place overall, or did that?
I came 7th out of 39. Richard came 5th, I want to say.
Nice.
And then, it was either 4th or 5th. I'm pretty sure it was 5th.
I think it was 4th, because he was mumbling a lot about needing to find 4 more points to podium.
Yes, he was, 4 points away from getting on the podium, so maybe it was 4th place. And then, in fact, actually, I think BCP's still up, so I could probably just quickly check. And then I think, technically, he felt slightly robbed on the Saturday, because he should have been... Oh, no, it's not on there anymore, sadly. I think the Saturday, he could have been 3rd place if they had sort of broken down the sort of wins and losses via victories and losses and then victory points. But because they did it by major wins and major losses first, basically he had, I think it was 2 major wins and 1 minor win, had more victory points than the person that came 3rd, who just had 3 major wins. So he was like, what's the difference between a major win and a minor win? It's like points, which ultimately is what did him at the end. So if he'd got those few extra points for a major win on Saturday, he probably would have podiumed both days. So he had a very fun Ogroid Myrmidon list spam, basically.
It didn't seem overly fun. I know he sort of tried to make it sound like it was memey, but I was a bit like, Seems quite strong, though, as well as that.
Incredibly strong. I mean, I think it had certain limitations, but when everyone in your army is pretty much doing flat 3 damage and anywhere between, I think, 6 and 10 attacks, depending on how much damage they've taken, it's I mean, I played Richard as a test game on Friday and I got smashed. So it was That Nighthaunt 4-up save did not work for me.
No, that's it. And who knows? It seems like you might be losing it soon, but again, too early to speak about the speculation on what that might actually look like.
Yeah, so Games Workshop have done their Warhammer community article about Nighthaunt, and they've sort of explained what's happening with the Nighthaunt save. So it's currently a 4-up unrenderable, so it's like a 4-up in one save, followed by a 6-up Feel No Pain in 40k parlance. And apparently it's going to a 6-up unrenderable save, 5-up ward save, which is your Feel No Pain, and then heroes get a 5-up unrenderable.
I really like that, by the way. I think that's what it should always have been.
If it was army-wide 5-up, I would agree. The fact that it goes down to 6 sort of makes that save pretty pointless.
I don't know. A 5-up ward is pretty tasty. I've been rocking Kragnos a bunch, and the 5-up ward is really really strong.
It's really helpful, yeah. But I think if there's a lot of damage in the game which is high damage, so either flat 3 damage or D6. And it's like, if you're completely unable to save against that, I guess you've got a 1 in 6 chance initially. It's like, cool, you've then got to make 5-up saves, but you've got to do that like 3 or 4 times in a row. But
a lot of that high damage also typically has a high rend. So for a lot of armies, okay, fair enough, maybe not like Stormcast who are rocking 3-up saves, or Slaves to Darkness who are also enjoying 3-up saves. But for a lot of armies, 4-up saves are quite regular. So a lot of people are getting hit by rend 2 damage D6 and they're saving on 6 anyway. So in a lot of instances, it's like, you'll probably find that when you're looking at it through the lens of, if I had a 4-up save, what would this actually look like? You probably would be in a scenario where you would be saving on 5s and 6s quite a lot, but then having the benefit of the 5-up ward does kind of really kind of compromise for that, compensate, I should say, for that, sorry.
Yeah, that's true.
But again, we'll see it in practice.
Yeah, and some of the units' wounds are going up as well, which is hopefully enough to make up for it. Although it ironically makes their recursion mechanics actually much more difficult to pull off. Because obviously, if you're healing a D3 to bring a character back, also a model back, rather than just rolling a 1 and be like, cool, I've got 1 model back, or 3 and getting 3 models back. It's like, cool, I've rolled a 3 and I've only got 1 model back because it's 2 wounds now rather than 1 wound.
Yeah, I mean, that's assuming that those mechanics stay the same, right? I mean, who knows?
I mean, it sounds like it is, because in the article they talk about the Nexus of Grief, and they go, well, the rules for that are available for free already, so it sounds like that's not changing. Okay. And then the only other way of healing was via a spell, and they've already told us what all the 3 new spells are for the Underworld's lore, and we're losing that one. So it's, basically the article wasn't very positive for Nighthaunt players, but I feel like you can't judge it until you see all the rules and how they all synergize together. And I think that's always it's a bit like the heresy stuff. It's like people are losing their minds a little bit because they're like, this isn't how my army plays, or I've got to now change how my army plays, or I don't like what they've announced, but then I haven't seen what other stuff they haven't announced. So yeah, just need to patiently wait a couple more weeks till I get the book in my hand, basically.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's the thing with the heresy stuff. It seems like a lot of people have kind of been justified in their concerns, but at the same time, I think there have been some overreactions. It's been interesting reading and interacting with our listeners who were kind enough to leave comments on the last podcast, because, having the back and forth with them has been really interesting, because I think we've definitely, seen a different level of, responses from different players affected in different ways. I myself feel like, based on what I've read thus far, it feels like, as a Dark Angel player or as someone who aspired to be a Dark Angel player in Heresy, who has collected a bunch of them, it does seem like a lot of some of the flavour and things have been altered in interesting ways. But I admit I haven't played it enough to really know for sure. So, that's something I hope to address in the future. But, for now, I reckon we should probably just get on to the bulk of what we were planning to talk about this episode. The thing that will be in the title, which is basically Codex supplements, Space Wolves, and Black Templars. We were going to talk about Grey Knights, but it's not a Codex supplement, and we didn't feel like it was a reasonable thing to add into the conversation because it doesn't offer a meaningful point of comparison, right? Because these are supplements. Codex Grey Knights is a codex in its own right. So we'll talk about Codex Grey Knights probably next episode or somewhere down the line. We do actually need to talk about Codex Chaos Knights at some point as well. We'll get that in the mixture sometime. Which one would you like to start with, Phil? Do you want to start with the Codex Space Wolves because it came out first, or would you like to start with Codex Black Templars? What is your energy telling you?
Maybe let's do Space Wolves.
We'll start with the Space Wolves, the blah 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 Fenrica, or whatever they call themselves in reality. Do you remember what their native Fenrisian tongue is for themselves?
Oh, do you know what I do?
I can't remember now either. Something Fenric. Anyway, the point is Space Wolves. Yay, everyone loves them. This is a really significant and important release within the whole kind of 40k Doom, because we've been asking ourselves and saying for many months, years, what are they going to do about Space Wolves? Because ever since the Primaris Marines came on the scene, we've basically only ever had a handful, a tiny, splattering of Space Wolf specific stuff. And obviously over the many years of Warhammer 40,000s, Space Wolves specifically have been a very unique range of Space Marines. They're almost in their own right, their own thing entirely, although obviously, as is the nature of Space Marines at the moment, they still kind of retain their supplement status and their access to the current range. But I think all of us were very pleasantly surprised when we saw what Space Wolves were going to look like after a long hiatus and essentially seeing what this new range of miniatures was going to offer. And I think, overall, it definitely feels like we've got a lot more people out there engaging with and playing Space Wolves now. It feels like the army's definitely, delighted a lot of 40k players, which is super awesome. Does that sound all fair and interesting to you, Phil?
Yeah, I would say so.
No, fair. So we'll start with the Codex cover, as is tradition. We have ourselves a Wolfguard Terminator wearing upon his Terminator plate a wolf's pelt with a very polished and exposed skull carrying the runes that are, somewhat synonymous with the Space Wolves. Seemingly is being shot in the shoulder and taking umbrage at that because he's looking over at the point of impact, snarling and looking generally, frustrated. And then, striding forwards, wielding an axe, with a couple of wolves by his side and a few of his colleagues in the background. Nice lightning effects and other bits and pieces. And in my opinion, a very pretty servo skull. I think, of all the things, the servo skull is the best, I would say, in this particular image.
Well, I was going to point it out if you didn't talk about it yet. So, it looks particularly good.
I do really like it. It's something about just, I suppose, it's kind of reminiscent of the Chaplain helmet that people have been like 3D printing and Games Workshop offered a cease and desist awards. You've seen that one doing the rounds?
Right, yeah, just for General Chaplain helmet. Yeah,
yes,
similar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a skull, isn't it? So that's why.
Yeah, but I suppose, I don't know, the sort of like way it's been kind of illustrated, it kind of looks similar to, that Chaplain skull helm that was, that was taken from Space Marine 2, right? That helmet design. The particular, the one that people were 3D printing. Anyway, point is, it's very pretty. I'm not mad keen on the posing of the main character. I think the fact that he's kind of looking all disgruntled as someone sort of shooting him in the shoulder. Again, I suppose it speaks to the Space Wolves' kind of acute senses, but it's also weird to me that a Terminator striding forwards, taking a glancing blow to a shoulder pad would pay it any attention. You know, it feels probably a little bit beneath a Terminator to be bothered about that sort of stuff.
Well, he's like, "Oi, you almost got my face because I'm not wearing a helmet. Yeah. Do you, like, watch out, like, not the top half."
Yeah. It's, come on now, guys. What are you trying to do? Kill me? This is ridiculous.
Exactly.
And again, I mean, I just don't. I think his beard isn't big enough. It's one of those things where it's like, it feels like when you look back at some of the old, really awesome kind of like iconic second edition and whatever artwork for Space Wolves, they had mighty beards, and especially when you're a Wolf Guard, right? Like, Wolf Guard is a pretty, grizzled veteran of the Space Wolves. This young pup looks a little bit too young, a little bit too feral to have that kind of rank and stature,
I say this to not, throw stones in glass houses. He's a bit too much of a hipster dude, bro.
That is it. 100% that, mate.
I think it's a phenomenal piece of artwork. I definitely think it's one of the best that they've done this edition. I really like it.
I think on the whole, I think it's nice. I think I'd prefer it if the character was maybe
a bit older looking.
No, I don't know. I think that's the only detail, and it's funny, isn't it? You zero in on it. The face of that character is the only bit of it I'm just not gelling with. I think maybe if he was looking towards the viewer, if maybe it was posed slightly differently, maybe if they just gave him a different face, or, gave him just more of a sense of calm and all the rest of it. It just sort of looks like he's just a bit sort of confused or bewildered at this moment in time. It's not a very heroic face, is all I'm saying. It's not a sort of stoic kind of like thing. It's just more of a, that's my only criticism of it. Otherwise, I love every component of it, but I think, that's, if someone could just come along, rub that out and replace it with a nicer face, I think we'd be in a better place. But yeah, it is what it is, I suppose.
Fair.
Yeah. But overall, I mean, as a tome, it's perfectly lovely. It's got lots of nice artwork, pictures, and other bits. Lots of interesting lore, etc. I mean, it's all the usual old stuff. I like, obviously, the fact that they're addressing the moving forwards the units of the Grey Hunters and the Blood Claws. I would really like to, and again, I haven't really meaningfully. I'm just skimming through it now, making sure I'm not being entirely wrong when I say this. I would like to have understood or had some reference to where the... here it is, the Long Fangs. Okay, fine. There is a whole section on the Long Fangs specifically, but obviously we're not at a point where we have Long Fang-specific models. So, amongst the eldest and most experienced of Space Wolves, Long Fangs are entrusted with the chapter's heaviest weapons. Having survived countless battles, these veteran warriors support the furious assaults and restless fury of their more youthful battle brothers, or volleys of explosive shells, missiles, So there's a bit about Long Fangs here, but obviously they're not represented in the range anymore.
No.
Although obviously I guess you just take them as devastated squads and call it a day, I guess, right?
I guess so. But also they are missing the first ever Primaris specific Space Wolves.
Yes, the Hounds of Morkai.
The Hounds of Morkai. They don't seem to even be name checked. There's a bit about under Wolf Priest, there's the Test of Morkai, and there's the Gates of Morkai, which is talking about the Rune Priest, but nothing that I can see that specifically calls out the Hounds. Which, it potentially is a bit of a shame that they didn't sort of bolster them into like a unique unit or something, or at least represent them in one of the colour profiles or model shots. But I mean, they do have a bunch of other unique units which are sort of gorgeous, so I can't really begrudge them for trying to squeeze in another sort of custom sculpt specifically for the Reavers.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm in no way surprised that the Hounds of Morkai went away. Again, I think it would probably be a little bit absurd for us to overemphasize the impact of the Hounds of Morkai in the sense that they're, a unit that just hasn't resonated with players. I've never seen them in the wild. I know contrarian sorts like to comment on videos like these and go, oh no, I've got loads of Hounds of Mordecai. I've been running them for years, and very good for you if that is true. But yeah, in my experience of playing Warhammer 40,000 for many years since the Hounds of Mordecai have existed, I've never seen them.
It's rare to see just Reavers on their own at all, let alone the Space Wolf specific ones.
Well, absolutely. I mean, to be fair, for a while across the span of, the last couple of years, since, Space Wolves didn't have Space Wolf specific miniatures, Space Wolves have been really absent anyway. So the idea that Hounds of Mordecai were going to be present, it's rare enough to see Space Wolves, let alone Space Wolves with a really underwhelming, specialist unit chucked in for good measure. But yeah, anyway, look, long story short, the reason why we would impose a level of importance onto the Hounds of Mordecai is simply because they were, other than the Victrix Honor Guard, for a while, the only Primaris chapter-specific Space Marine unit available to buy. No other
they did Death Company for a bit, which was similar, where it was just a paint scheme, but I can't remember. I think that came out a bit later.
I think they came afterwards. Again, you might be correct, actually. I think maybe Death Company... Yeah, because Death Company weren't available to Blood Angels, I want to say, in 8th edition, or at least not Primaris variants of them. But I think that came later. But anyway, who knows for certain on all these things? Wikipedia will tell us the way. Not that we can access that anymore in the United Kingdom, or have they enacted their closure because of our whole, turning off the internet thing?
Do you know what? I don't know. I've not looked.
I heard somewhere that Wikipedia had the ump with the fact that we were asking people to verify who they are when they're using the internet. Not us specifically. I mean, I was referring to the royal we there, basically the government of the United Kingdom. God bless them. I, for one, welcome our alien overlords. But anyway, so overall, yeah, the book's cool. Obviously, the range is cool. But let's have a little chit-chat about the army rules. So they do get oaths at the moment. That's one of the things that's actually uniquely interesting between these two tomes, the Black Templars and the Grey Knights. Not the Grey Knights, the Black Templars and the Space Wolves. Space Wolves, oath of moment. Black Templars, no oath of moment. So, an interesting point of comparison there, if nothing else. They have the Curse of the Wolfen, which is while this unit has been 6 of one or more friendly Space Wolf character models, excluding Wolfen models, or within 12 of one or more friendly Wolf Priest models. If it is not battle shock, add 1 to the objective characteristic, control characteristic of infantry models in it, and add 3 to the objective characteristic, control characteristic of vehicle models in it. So there you go. So basically, if you're a wolf, it's like the Death Company thing. Death Company, admittedly, I think the Death Company one's worded slightly different because I think they have an OC, and if they're not within range of a thing, their OC is 0. Whereas in this instance, I'm guessing they don't have an OC unless they're within range of one of these, in which case their OC becomes 1 or 3, respectively.
You're right. Wolfen is currently 0. It is all units get it, but Wolfen only get it from Wolf Priests, whereas everyone gets it from Space Wolf characters.
Oh, okay.
Also worth noting, they do have a Wolfen-specific Dreadnought, which is also OC0, but then, weirdly... Murderfang is a 0 as well, but I guess he is Wolfen by the looks of it. Yeah, he is.
Makes sense.
Okay, nice, interesting little delineation there.
And then, the main army rule would be their sagas. What are those, Phil?
So it says, each detachment rule in this book includes a saga you can complete with additional effects that apply once you have done so. So
they're in the particular detachments.
They're in the detachments. There's also the Sons of Russ, which, to paraphrase, is basically to say... if there's 2 faction keywords, one's Adeptus Astartes and also one Space Wolves, one is your chapter, and you can only be from one chapter, and you can't include more units than one chapter in your army, which I think is very similar but slightly differently worded for the Black Templars one, because Black Templars weirdly has that exemption on the detachments rather than just in this bit here. And then obviously exclude certain units in the army rule because they add them as data sheets to the book itself, which I think is vehicles giving them, I assume it's just giving them melter guns. Why they need to be separate detachments, separate data sheets for that, I don't know. But I think that's why.
Yeah, so they've, obviously as well with Black Templars, there's like stipulations around them not having access to like psychers and other bits and pieces like that.
Yeah, which we'll get to when we get to
we'll get to that when we get to that. But yeah, so we've got 3 detachments, 3 sagas. So Saga of the Hunter is the first one. Phil, tell us about Saga of the Hunter.
I will do. Oh, can I just say also beforehand, one of the things I like,
say whatever you like,
the Sons of Russerl, which is the bit about, you can't include other chapters, but, you can theme it to, your Space Wolf chapter or successor chapter. They basically go to great length to say, if you're taking a named hero, Logan Grimnar will only be for Space Wolves and not a successor chapter. So none of this Red Gilliman nonsense that other people have done. It's basically your characters should be lore accurate is what they're politely reminding you.
Well, indeed, and I do understand why that is important for sure.
But you can still do it however you want. Is at the end of the day, but they're saying if you'd like to faithfully recreate them, you should do it this way, which I think is a nice little nod.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Saga of the Hunter.
Yeah, so you get Pax Quarry. So each time a model in a Space Wolves unit from your army makes a melee attack that targets an enemy unit, if that enemy unit is within engagement range of one or more other Adeptus Astartes units from your army, or if an attacking unit contains more models than the enemy unit, you get +1 to hit. And if your saga is completed, you add 1 to the wound roll. So potentially +1 to hit and wound. Very strong. The Saga of the Hunter is the saga that you get to do, which is at the start of the first battle round, your quarry tally is 0. Each time an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army fights, after all of those attacks have been resolved, add 1 to your quarry tally for each enemy unit destroyed by those attacks, i.e. kill something in combat. Once your quarry tally is equal to or greater than the number shown below, your saga is complete. So if it's incursion size game, it's 2. If it's strike force, which is standard size game, it's 3. And if you're doing big games of 3,000 points, it's 4. So you got to kill 3 in a standard game. Kill 3 units in combat, basically, to get your +1 to wound.
Not bad. Not bad. I mean, again, perfectly reasonable. You definitely want to be killing things. So, yeah. Makes sense. Adding 1 to the hit rolls is also not a bad situation either. So +1 to hit, +1 to wound, all pretty reasonable. They got some enhancements. We won't go through all of them, but essentially we have Swift Hunter, which is basically models, Space Wolves models only. What was the very unit to have Scout 7? So that's really useful. So yeah, and a Scout Mover 7. Handy dandy. Anything you wanted to shout out there for me?
I quite like the Thrinrizian Grit, which is just an Adeptus Astartes model only. Bearer has a Feel No Pain 4+.
Yep, that's decent.
Pretty strong.
Yeah, Feel No Pain 4+ is pretty legitimately strong, but obviously just on the character, but still pretty decent. I mean, again, stratagem-wise, I'm intrigued by the fact that we don't have an Armour of Contempt type ability here, because that's been quite a consistent element within our Space Marine detachments. Just having a quick glance to make sure that I've not missed the fact that there is something similar by a different name, but it doesn't look like it. But yeah, if I was to pick one, which I am, I will go with Overwhelming Onslaught. It's a 1 CP stratagem that you trigger in a fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its target. So 2 Adeptus Astartes units from your army within engagement range of that enemy unit, or 1 Space Wolf Beasts unit from your army within engagement range of that enemy unit can be the target of the stratagem. And the effect is, until the end of phase, each time a model in that enemy unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit rolls. So yeah, I mean, It doesn't really feel like an overwhelming onslaught, I can't lie to you. It feels more like some sort of dodging manoeuvre, but fine. I guess the idea is that they're up in your face, like a gang of rowdy children trying to steal your mobile phone,
Yeah, I
that kind of energy.
guess like a +1 to your AP would have felt more in keeping with the title.
No, it would do. Yeah. Oh, well, whatever. Anyone you want to pick, me?
Yeah, Bounding Advance, which is a strategic ploy one, happens in your movement phase or your charge phase. You select one Space Wolf's infantry or Space Wolf Beasts unit from your army that has not been selected to move or declared to charge this phase until the start of the phase. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a normal, advanced, fallback, or charge move, it can move through models, excluding Titanic models. When doing so, it can move within engagement range of enemy models, but unless it's making a charge move, cannot end that move with engagement range of them.
Well, fair enough.
I mean, it could be useful. I like the idea you can move through stuff, but unless your movement's particularly great, often it's like...
Well, Space Wolves are typically all movement 7 now.
Oh, are they? Okay, that's quite good then. And I guess you've got things like Thunderwolf Cavalry, which I guess would have the beast keyword, I would assume.
Definitely does, yeah, definitely does.
Then they could, they've got some movement.
I say definitely does. Maybe it doesn't actually. Maybe it's mounted.
Because Valyrian Wolves have it definitely. Cavalry, you're right, they don't. They're just Thunderwolf Cavalry and mounted.
Oh, fine. Oh, okay, well, there you go. I would have thought they would. They look beastie, but clearly not beastie enough.
They're only half beasts.
That's only half beasts, fair. The next of the sagas, the detachment, is the Saga of the Bold, which I'm assuming means bold and brave as opposed to follically challenged, or potentially the brand of detergent, either or, I suppose. But yes, I imagine this isn't them going around telling them that you can get whiter whites with bold than other rival detergent manufacturers. But anyway, bold jokes to one side. The detachment rule is each time an ellipsis starts a unit from your army is selected to shoot or fight. Apply one of the following when resolving those attacks. If the saga is complete, see below, you can reroll one hit roll, one wound roll, and one damage roll. Otherwise, if that unit is a Space Wolf's character unit, you can reroll one hit roll, one wound roll, and or one damage roll. So if you complete the saga, all your units are getting it, but if you haven't completed the saga, all your character units are getting it, which, to be fair, these days, you're probably going to have a lot of characters leading units, so you're probably going to be getting it by default all the time anyway.
True, yeah.
But, for things like, I don't know, like gladiator tanks or, other kind of like dreadnoughts and things, your Redemptor dreadnought, etc., it comes in handy from that perspective. And then Saga of the Bold, basically... Each time a Space Wolf character unit from your army, so again, further incentive to take Space Wolf character armies, does one of the following things. The unit achieves that boast once 3 or more different boasts have been achieved. So again, this isn't based on game size. You just have to do 3 boasts, irrespective of the size of game. So your hide as a trophy, so that unit destroys your Oath of Moment target. So, character unit kills an Oath of Moment target. That gives you a boast. Slay them all! That unit destroys your Oath of Moment target and is the second Oath of Moment target destroyed by that unit in this battle. So I'm asserting that, obviously, that would be across multiple turns, so not super easy to do. Overrun their position at the end of either player's turn. That unit is wholly within your opponent's deployment zone. Ooh. And then hold the line from the second battle round onwards at the end of your command phase. That unit is within range of the objective marker that you control that is not within your deployment zone. From the second battle round onwards, the end of your command phase, that unit was within range of an objective marker you control that's not... Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So super easy to do that one.
Yes.
So the first and last one, really easy to do.
Well, in theory, yeah. So it's probably going to take you a couple of turns to get it, though, because... Well, it depends on that side of things. Sorry, Phil, can I break for just 2 seconds?
Sure.
All right, hang on. Be right back, people. Sorry about that all. Back now. Anyway, yes, enhancements. Anyone you want to shout out, Phil?
Hold on, let me grab my book again.
You said you were ready, Phil. You said it. You said those words.
I know, I'm sorry. The enhancements. Let's do Horde Slayer. Space Wolf model only at the start of the fight phase. If there are more enemy models than friendly models wholly within 6 inches of the bearer, until the end of that phase, add 2 to the attack characteristic of melee weapons equipped by the bearer. If the bearer's unit has achieved 1 or more boasts, add 3 to the attack characteristics instead.
Not too bad. And he only has to have achieved 1 of the boasts, you say?
Yeah, 1 or more, yeah.
Ooh, not bad, not bad. There's Thunderwolves Fortitude, which isn't, mounted specific. So, attempts to start as models only. The first time the bearer is destroyed, remove it from play. Then, at the end of the phase, roll a d6 on a 2+, set the bearer back on the battlefield as close as possible to where it was destroyed, and not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units with 3 wounds remaining. I don't love that rule on the basis that I always struggle with the end of phase thing. I feel like a lot of the time you kind of want it to immediately resolve because there can be sequences of events that transpire, but I suppose you just leave the mini where it is, resolve stuff, and then end of phase, bring it back in. But there are definitely instances, like when it dies in combat, where you would probably be advised to remove it from play because it could affect any potential kind of like pile-in moves. So it's that weird thing where it's like, oh, I have to either sort of broadly remember where it is, and then that gets left to some kind of wibbliness, or I put down a token, or it's just, yeah, but whatever. It's cool, though, that they get back up again. Getting back up again is cool. But, yeah, end of phase is always a bit weird. I feel like it should just immediately resolve, and move on from there.
I think the problem with that, though, is if you got multiple units, okay, let's say Unit A kills you, you roll a 2+, get back up, but then Unit B attacks you and then kills you again. Whereas end of phase means you've got another whole turn, potentially, depending on whose turn it is, to do stuff with it.
Well, fair.
Which I think I prefer. And the fact is, it just says place it as close as possible. So it doesn't really matter if you've moved it. In theory, if people had piled into that spot, it could end up being 6 or more inches away from where it was. Well, but that is the closest possible in place. Because it's interestingly, it's not got to be within engagement range. So you've got to be this time out of target, which also probably makes sense for appearing later rather than midway through, so people aren't then just piling into it and stuff like that.
I tried my hardest, but the closest I could get was 20 inches away in this particular corner that is advantageous to me. I tried.
That's on an objective.
Yeah. That you stickied with some intercessors or whatever. I tried my best. I tried. But, yeah. There's some stratagems. Any you want to call out specifically?
Let's look at the countercharge one, because is it different from Heroic Intervention? It's 2 CP. It's an epic deed. It's at the end of your opponent's charge phase. 1 Adeptus Astartes character unit from your army. This is the target that is within 6 inches of 1 or more enemy units and would be eligible to declare a charge against one of or more of those enemy units. If it were your charge phase, your unit now declares a charge that targets only one or more of those enemy units, and you resolve that charge as if it were your charge phase. Note that even if this charge is successful, your unit doesn't receive any charge bonuses this turn. Okay, so what I quite like about that is it is literally just a straight up charge, because you don't need to have been near something to heroically intervene. But obviously, it's you got to be within 6 inches of an enemy unit to do that. So a bit limiting in terms of the distance, but probably means it's going to be guaranteed to go off, and for 2 CP, that's what you want.
I still don't understand, though, why they don't let you have charge bonuses in these sequences, but I get it, because it's kind of like, because it's
not your turn.
Yeah, it would give you fights first and then you'd be able to strike first and all the rest of it. But it is sort of like, but that sort of almost feels like the point to me. It's like, yes, I'm spending 2 CP to scupper your plans and do something quite important. And, you know, that's the thing. It's like, I've still got to make a successful charge. It's like, you know, it feels like when you're making me spend quite a large part of the economy on you know, the CP economy on doing it, just give me the fight first. I mean, good God. Like, you know.
Yeah, I guess the stipulation could be your opponent does no charges and then you're just getting the one strikes first, although that seems quite unlikely. I think we've just played a lot of AOS where you can do that, and it is quite normal to do it.
Well, AOS, it's just you go, your opponent goes, and it's in the sequence of what they call in AOS the priority.
Strike first is particularly quite rare.
Yeah, but that's the thing in 40k, everything's got strike first when it charges, where in AOS that isn't the case. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, fun little, weird little anecdote, nuance, I suppose. There is 1 CP to be spent on Birth of Sagas. It's in your command phase. 1 Wolfguard Head Taker or Wolfguard Terminator Pack Leader model from your army can be the target until the start of your next command phase. Your model has the character keyword. So basically, it's meaning that your squad sergeants from those specific units are now also characters, which is an interesting scenario. There are negatives to that, by the way, as well, though, because here we go. Designer, 1 event your model unit, therefore a character unit, meaning it can interact with heroes all rule, which is the detachment rule. In addition to other rules that interact with character units. So it's an interesting thing.
So precision or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, so you can precision it out. Plus also, it could contribute to like an assassinate score as well. So, because it happens till your next command phase. So your opponent could then draw an assassinate card and potentially get an easy pickup from, say, a unit of 3 headhunters or something. But anyway, there you go. Interesting. Last of the detachment/sagas is the Saga of the Beast Slayer. Tell us about that, Phil.
The detachment rule is Legendary Slayers. Each time an Adeptus Astartes model from your army makes an attack, if that attack targets a character, monster, or vehicle unit, or if your saga is completed, the attack has lethal hits ability.
Really strong.
And then there's the Saga of the Beast Slayer. So at the start of the first battle round, your Beast Slayer tally is 0, and you determine your Beast Slayer target by halving the number of units from your opponent's army that have 1 or more of the following keywords: character, monster, vehicle. So I assume there'd be at least 1 character in everybody's army, which would make it a beast tally of 1. Each time an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army shoots or fights, after all of those attacks have been resolved, add 1 of your to your Beast Slayer tally for each enemy unit with 1 or more of the following keywords destroyed by those attacks: character, monster, vehicle. Okay, it's a bit repetitive. Once your Beast Slayer tally is equal to or greater than your Beast Slayer target, your saga is complete. So you basically just got to kill characters, monsters, or vehicles.
Yeah.
And you've got to kill half of that in your opponent's army, which feels like quite a steep ask, depending on what they've got.
It doesn't feel that difficult at all, especially when you consider that when they are targeting characters, monsters, and vehicles, they have lethal hits anyway. So they have the lethal hits against those units.
True.
And when you think about, like, when I look back at, like, most of my armies that I'm building in 40k these days, most of my units are characters, monsters, or vehicles. Like, it's very rare. Like, I would say in my average 40k army, like, I actually think, like, most of my 40k armies these days, all of my units are those. Like, I don't think there's any unit I put on the tabletop that isn't one of those. Like, maybe 1 unit of scouts or 1 unit of rangers or whatever, but most of the time I try and put characters in every unit because I just
right, because you want the buffs. Yeah, no, I see what you mean, and you're getting it all automatically. So I guess the thing is, it's like you don't need to really care about completing it.
No.
If your army has a lot of those things, just kill those things, and cool. If you got to kill some infantry, yeah, you're not getting that bonus against.
But most people's infantry units have a character in them, right? It's very rare that people don't.
Well, Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that's interesting, that one.
Yeah. Anyway, no, it seems very good. Enhancement-wise, I'll just talk about the helm of the Beast Slayer. Why not? Who doesn't like a Beast Slaying helm? So it's a defensive style is models only. Each time an attack is made by a character, each time an attack made by a character, monster, or vehicle model targets the bearer's unit, reduce the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. So basically, it's like having a armor of contempt, but constantly, as long as you're being targeted by those 3 things, which I think we've established is quite frequently. How about you, Phil?
Well, I wanted to go for Elder's Guidance because I was like, "Ooh, is this something Xenos-y?" But it's the old spelling of Elder, and in fact, it just means old person. So it's in regards to the long fangs.
And also, if you were referring to the old spelling of Elder as in Eldari, it's also not that spelling either, because it's spelled Elder was spelled with an A, not an E, as in E-L-D-A-R. Yep. Yeah.
How I've forgotten.
No, that's easily done.
Anyway, Elder's Guidance, Space Wolf model only, once per battle. At the start of the fight phase, if the bearer is leading a Bloodclaw unit, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does, until the end of the phase, improve the AP characteristic of melee weapons equipped by the models in that unit by 1.
Magical stuff?
I mean, yeah, once per game, not great, but maybe there's some good uses. I mean, getting an extra AP is not bad.
Yeah. Stratagems. I will go with Thunderous Pursuit. Why not? So it's a 1 CP. It's in your opponent's movement phase. Just after enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fallback move, 1 adapted style unit from your army that is within 9 of that enemy unit and not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. You can make a normal move of up to D6. If your unit has the Space Wolves Infantry or Thunderwolf Cavalry keyword, it can make a normal move of up to 6 inches instead. So there you go. Pretty handy. So you can just do a flat 6-inch redeploy move if something ends a move within 9 of you. Strong indeed.
That's cool. I'll pick Pinning 5 for 1 CP. In your shooting phase, 1 Adeptus Astartes unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase. Until the end of that phase, after your unit has shot, select 1 enemy character, monster, or vehicle unit hit by 1 or more of those attacks. Until the start of your next shooting phase, that unit is pinned. Ooh. While a unit is pinned, subtract 2 inches to the move characteristic and subtract 2 to the charge rolls made for it. Which is quite interesting, assuming something's going to still be alive.
Yeah. That's actually quite interesting indeed. Cool, so those are the attachments. I mean, again, the one that does the lethal hit seems fine, and the one that gives you the reroll seems fine. It's interesting that they don't have access to Armor of Content in any instance. It kind of feels like, yet again, you're probably still just going to go, yeah, I'll just take them in Gladius, because that kind of is just Space Marines on default now. Because these guys interact with the Oath of Moment, it sort of just feels like you probably just stick them in a Gladius still. But yeah, I mean, I quite like the one that gives you lethal hits. I think that's got a little bit of flavour to it. But again, it depends whether you're kind of choosing between something that gives you a competitive edge or whether you're doing something for funsies. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the Saga of the Bold feels very in keeping. It feels very you, Dan.
Oh, really?
Very braggy. Yeah. It seems like sort of one that you would be if you were in Warhammer 40k.
That's it. I would be bold. That would definitely be me. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it just does it again, though. It's that thing, isn't it? Sometimes, again, with 40k at the moment, it just always feels like... I mean, I quite like Saga of the Bold in the sense that they've come up with some interesting stuff that you have to do, right? Like, oh, okay, cool. It's not just, and re-rolling 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, etc., is all pretty fun. But, like, yeah, it's just, again, it's that thing, isn't it, where it's like, it always feels like in 40k we're just kind of repeating the same mechanics over and over again. But at least they didn't go, oh, now you've got sustained hits or something, I suppose. You've got to be positive in that regard. unit-wise for the Space Wolves, we won't go extensively into them because there's a lot to talk about, and we're just trying to get a general vibe on it. There was a couple of things I wanted to address with Space Wolves just from the get-go, which is obviously their very extensive range of exclusive miniatures. So they've got, 2 exclusive battle line units in the form of the Blood Claws and the Grey Hunters. So that extends their range of battle line units to like 6 now. So you've got obviously your usual Intercessor, Assault Intercessor, Heavy Intercessor, and Tactical Marine. But now you can also add Blood Claws and Grey Hunters to that. So 6 battle line units, which is all pretty swanky. Outside of that, they've obviously got their own kind of version of the Blade Guard in the form of the Head Takers, which we can talk about a little bit, I suppose. It was cool that the Thunderwolf Cavalry stayed in. It was cool that the Dreadnought stayed in. It's especially interesting that we have a listing for a Wolfen Dreadnought, which, okay, fair enough, we do have a Murder Fang, but we haven't necessarily ever had a specific Wolfen Dreadnought as a thing. So it's very interesting to see a miniature, or rather a profile for a thing that doesn't really actually have a miniature. Although it does, because you can probably kit bash it from the Venerable Dreadnought, Murder Fang, Bjorn kit. Again, because this is Modern 40k, we did obviously have to have losses. We've lost the Flyers. So the 2 variants of aircraft, the gunboat and the troop transport, have both gone, as have also the Hounds of Morkai as well. So we have lost stuff.
It's interesting. I feel like when I got back into the hobby around 6th, 7th ed was around the time those Flyers came out, which is probably around the 10-year mark.
Yeah.
Or maybe it would have been more like 2012. 2011, 2012, maybe that early, so maybe a couple more years.
Yeah.
But not an obscene amount.
No.
To see them go. They were like modern plastic kits.
I mean, the thing that's really weird is the inconsistency, right? Because obviously Dark Angels managed to keep their Flyers, but Space Wolf lost theirs. Blood Angels lost their Dreadnoughts. Space Wolf kept Dreadnoughts. It's a very weird thing in terms of how it's happening. Obviously, Bjorn the Fell-Handed is a very significant character within the fluff of Space Wolf, so I do completely understand why they didn't want to off him.
I sort of feel like that's why they've kept them, and I feel like Dreadnoughts are a bit more quintessential Space Wolves, whereas the Flyers were a bit silly, I thought. So I think maybe they're like, well, we'll get rid of those for them, but we'll keep them for, say, Dark Angels, because that's much more in keeping with like their theme.
Yeah, that's fair.
Whereas the Librarian Dreadnoughts were sort of quite iconic for Blood Angels, but I don't think they were iconic enough that they were so prevalent in the same way that Space Wolves have Venerable Dreadnoughts.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, it's good to see the Thunderwolf Cavalry remained. I think that would have been a real shame for them to have gotten rid of them. Although they have gotten rid of characters on Thunderwolf Cavalry, right? Because for a while we had a selection of characters riding wolves. So we had like Canis Wolfbane, we had the generic. I think at one point he had a name like Henry or something. I can't remember what it was, but there was another named character with a big frost axe and stuff. Back in the day, we even had rules for Iron Priests on Thunder or Cyber Wolves, as they were called. But yeah, I mean, surprisingly, some of the firstborn sculpts have managed to stay in there. So you've still got the Iron Priest, you've still got the miniature for Ulrich the Slayer, which was a cool mini when it came out 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, whenever it was. Definitely quite a diddly little fella compared to obviously the more modern sculpts, but yeah, not without his charms, to say the very least.
No, I thought Ulrich the Slayer was the new one, or was that
no, that's the Wolf
generic
priest?
That was it. Yeah, because they made a big song and dance about, this is the first one with this helmet, and I was like, I'm pretty sure there was another one, but I guess he just wasn't wearing it.
Yeah.
And the Slayer was... Yeah, he came out, I'm pretty sure, at the same time as the the Flyers did.
Yeah.
Or maybe an addition later, but like not too far apart from them.
I mean,
he looks great in the photo, but as you say, he won't scale comparatively to the Primaris stuff.
Well,
it'd be a lot smaller.
The thing is, that is really bonkers is that really the only point of difference that sort of makes the Wolf Priest not Ulrich the Slayer is basically his Crozius. Like, if you gave him the more, iconic Crozius and maybe gave him the backpack with the wolf skulls, he'd pretty much be on point Ulrich the Slayer. It almost feels like they basically just did an Ulrich the Slayer model and then went, we'll just make it a generic Wolf Priest just because, we can get by with continuing to sell the old one, which is fair enough if that's what they did. But, yeah, we've already talked about this before, but the range is dead pretty in it. I mean, they've definitely done right by the Space Wolves with this release.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's really good.
So, yeah, no, it's a nice range of models there. We'll call out a couple in particular just to give a flavour of it. We have to probably start with our boy, old Logan Grimnar. Obviously, he's had a massive improvement over and above his old sled, although I didn't hate the sled, but I know a lot of people did.
Where's it again? What's happened to it? What's the law? Why is he getting off of it?
He just, he fell off, I guess. He just had enough. It just sort of...
Maybe he got too many parking tickets for it and had
that does happen.
Clamp on it.
That's it. But yeah, so, yeah, as a profile, he's movement 6, which is pretty good for a Terminator. He's toughness 5, which is Terminator standard. He's got save of 2+ and 4 of invuln, which is all shades of good. 8 wounds is redonkulously healthy. He's going to definitely take a lot of killing. Leadership 6+ and an OC of 1, all pretty reasonable. He's got a Stormbolter, which I won't talk to you about, but it hits on 2s because obviously he's dead good. The Axe of Morkai, which actually is a cornate axe, for those who don't know. It was famously brought back to life when striking Magnus during the events of the burning of, not the burning of Prospero,
Fenris?
Fenris, yes, the desolation of Fenris or whatever it was called. But it has a strike and a sweep profile. If you strike, it's got 6 attacks, and strength of 8, -2 AP and 3 damage, which is fine. The sweep feels terrible. 10 attacks, strength 6, which is mid, -2, 1 damage. Again, yeah, whatever. But it's got 2 wolves that get stuck in addition. They have 6 attacks between the 2 of them, strength of 5 and -1 and 1 damage. So again,
can I just say, I don't understand why just some regular wolves, even though they're his favourite pets, are hitting on 2s.
Well,
I get that he's Logan Grimnar, but wolves should not be hit as good in combat as Custodes and like Primarchs. That just seems mad.
Well, it's because when people buy models like Logan Grimnar, they want them to be good. And 40k players have a very, very bad relationship with the odds not being in their favour, in my experience. So, yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like, it's Logan Grimnar's wolves, so yeah. And it's like, all right, whatever. But it is stupid. Like, I think, like, fair enough if you want to have Logan Grimnar hit on 2s, fine, why not? I mean, again, whatever. But really, yeah, the wolves should be hitting on 4s. But there's a 40k, Phil. You've been playing too much AOS again. You've lost touch.
I know everything's too thematic over there. We can't be having that over in 40k, can we?
Well, indeed. I think. Well, yes, I do actually agree with you. He's got deep strike because he's in Terminator armor. He's a leader, and he can lead Wolfguard Terminators and Wolfguard Terminators alone. He is the High King of Fenris. Once per battle round in your movement phase, you can select one friendly Space Force unit that is in strategic reserves. If you do, that unit, until the end of the phase, for the purposes of setting up that unit on the battlefield, treat the current battle round number as being 1 higher than it actually is. So, yeah, basically, turn 1, deep strike for other Terminator squads and stuff. Whee! Although not deep strike because it has to be specifically strategic reserves, which I don't think incorporates the deep strike rule. I can't remember the particulars of it. Let's just pretend you can, while acknowledging that I might be wrong, so as to cover my ass for any potential, grumbles. And then Guile of the Wolf, which is an aura. Each time the opponent targets a unit from your army, each time your opponent targets a unit from their army with a stratagem. If that unit is within 12 of this model, increase the cost of that usage by 1 CP. That is massively useful. I've used that with Drakari loads, with the Archon being basically stuck into combat. Is dead useful to increase the CP. So that's a really useful strat. But I will say overall, underwhelming. Logan Grimnar doesn't seem very good at all, really. I mean, people seem to like him. I don't know why. Maybe I'm missing something really obvious, but 6 attacks, strength 8, -2, 3 damage seems pretty It's all right. The durability is good. Like, 8 wounds and a 2-up save, 4 of invulns, pretty decent, but it doesn't seem scary at all. Like, it just seems like,
Well, yeah, you got to think, though, that chances are he's either getting lethal hits or he's re-rolling.
This is true.
A wound roll, a hit roll, a wound roll, and a damage roll. Not that he has in D-damage.
Yeah.
But if you factor in the detachments, maybe it's stronger. Because conversely, not to spoil the Black Templars Codex, I think the stat lines on the characters' weapons are a lot better, but the detachment rules are a lot worse. So maybe this is how they even them out.
Fair. But yeah, Logan Grimnar there. We were thinking about doing a King of the Character style tournament piece between Grimnar and Helbrecht. We probably still will. But I feel like the result may not be that much of a shocker, just reading that line there. Is there any particular units you wanted to talk about, Phil?
I think there was. I mean, the Murderfang Dreadnought would be fun to talk about, but I think also the Wolfguard Headtakers worth a look as well.
Yeah. Can I just say as well, actually, Phil, because this was a point I was meaning to make but forgot to say, the thing that is really weird with Space Wolves versus any other supplement for Space Marines, and was kind of briefly touched upon there when talking about Logan Grimnar, is the fact that Space Wolves are unique in the sense that all of their characters can only join Space Wolf units. So there is no ability to put Logan Grimnar in a unit of Assault Terminators or a unit of regular Terminators. Equally, you can't put Ragnar Blackmane in a unit of Assault Intercessors, for example. He can only go in Wolfguard, Headhunters, or
not Blade Champions or anything like that. Yeah, I sort of get it, and I was thinking something similar, but it's more that it feels like this should just be a Codex and not a Codex supplement, because there's almost so many kind of comparable units, as you point out, like the hold on, let me just read the name of it again. The Wolfguard Headtakers are basically their Blade Guard, right? It's like you could almost, as a Space Wolf player, you almost wouldn't want to take Intercessors or Hellblasters or Blade Champions because you have better looking equivalents already for you. So I can see why they've sort of themed them in a way that, yeah, you're not taking those stuff because it's not telling you to, but it's subtly shoving you in the direction of this is your army, don't buy any of those other things.
Yeah.
With the exception of maybe vehicles.
It is weird how they've done it like that, and I do know a lot of Space Wolf players that utilise the broad, spectrum of the Space Marine Codex, because there are just undeniably strong units in Space Marines that, just have to go in if you want to try and be competitive. But let's talk about the Headtakers, though, because that's an interesting point of comparison for sure.
Yeah, I was just saying there are photos of other, non-Space Wolf specific units in the army book, so it's not like they're tucking those away.
No, that is true.
So the Headtakers, there's 2 stat lines because you've got the Wolfguard Headtakers and then you've got the Hunting Wolves. So the Headtakers are movement 7, toughness 4, 3-up save, 3 wounds, leadership 6 and 1 OC, while the Wolves are 10 inches for movement, toughness 4, 6+ save, 1 wound, leadership 8 and 0 OC. you get in terms of the unit composition, you get 3 to 6 wolf guard head takers and 0 to 6 hunting wolves. So you don't need any wolves if you don't want them. Ability wise, they've got let loose the wolves. So at the start of the declare battle formation step, split this unit into 2 units, one containing all the head taker units and one containing all of its hunting wolf models, with new starting straps accordingly. So they actually split off. That's interesting. Then you've got head hunters. So at the start of battle, select 1 unit from your opponent's army to be this unit's quarry. Weapons equipped by head taker models in this unit have the devastating wounds and precision abilities while targeting its quarry. Each time this unit's quarry is destroyed, select 1 new enemy unit to be the unit's quarry. That feels very cool and thematic. I guess, you need a little token or whatever as part of bookkeeping. And then lastly, they've got hunting hounds. So while this unit is within 6 inches of 1 or more friendly Space Wolf character models, excluding Wolfen models, if this unit is not battle shocked, hunting wolf models in it have an objective control characteristic of 1. So yeah, they're OC0, but 1 when you're within 6 inches of a Space Wolf character. But then wasn't there an ability that was also buffing that? Was that the army rule?
That was specifically
was
for
that
was Curse for Wolfen, wasn't it? That was the army rule for Wolfen specific stuff. Or maybe that was...
weirdly it's called Curse of the Wolfen, but that says while this unit is within 6 inches of 1 or more Space Wolf character models, excluding Wolfen models...
Yeah, so
hold on.
Curse of the Wolfen is a faction-specific ability that is on units such as Wolfen.
Oh, it's actually written on it, right, I see. Because I was like, surely this feels like it's just being applied to everyone, but like Overs of Moment, it's specified on the... like the data sheet itself. Okay, that makes more sense.
I mean, what I will say about this that is weird to me, and obviously it's probably a cheap unit of wolves, whatever. It is weird to me that, unless I'm mistaken here, you basically start with a unit, and that unit becomes 2 units, but it shares the same data sheet, which is weird in itself. And then the unit breaks off and becomes its own thing, and they're the hunting wolves. And so unless I'm completely wrong, there's no benefit of the hunting wolves being near the headhunters. So the head takers. So the head takers make a quarry, and they get devastating wounds of precision against their quarries. But as far as I can tell, that doesn't then apply to the wolves. I'm just confused.
No.
Why have a unit made up of 2 units to split into 2 units and have no synergy?
I mean, it's thematic. I guess if you take the Wolfguard battle leader, which can attach to that unit, then you have the character keyword, which then gives them the greater OC.
Right, fine.
But that does require taking an extra character, which, as you say, you would always do anyway.
I would always do, and I'm in favour of that. But it's confusing to me because it's like, surely, if you've got the head takers, and your head takers are bonded to or friendly with these wolves, would the idea not be that, maybe when the head takers are moving towards the hunting wolves, that their move is also 10? You know what I mean? Like, just do something to give you a reason why the 2 things are in one thing. It's sort of mad.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of feels like the logic of the model designers have gone, oh, this is a cool thing. It's like a hunting pack with wolves and humans, or space marines in this case.
Yeah.
And then the rules writers have struggled to go, yeah, but they've got different movements, and you don't want.
But they didn't have to have different movements. You could have just given them the same movement, and Adam was 1 unit.
Well, yeah, but wolves with a movement of 7 inches would probably be like weird, and then you can't give a 10-inch move to Space Marines because that's also stupid.
Well, I agree with all of that.
Well, we allow them to split, but then it's weird because they've gone out of their way to stop that kind of mechanics when it came to just having your intercessors combat split, right? Which is what they could always historically do. You could have a 10-man unit of Marines always break down into 2 5-man units, and they gone out of their way to stop you from doing that. But then it's odd that they've included it here. But I guess it's because it's basically what you're seeing here is, a box of sprues with 2 different units in it.
Yeah, and it's...
I think that thematically it's still correct, but as you say, maybe that headhunter's rule should apply to both of them, or the wolves themselves get a different rule when they're fighting the quarry unit.
Yeah.
So maybe they're not getting devastating wounds, maybe they're getting lethal hits or something like to represent that they're also fighting the quarry. Or like, for example, this is a good one. If the hunting wolves are already in combat with the quarry, then the head takers get a bonus to their charge. So they're more likely to then get into combat. That feels way more on point and thematic for what these are meant to be doing. Anyway, let's briefly talk about the last bit of their rules, which is their weapons. They can take storm shields, which give them a 4+ invulnerable save. They start off with being equipped with heavy bolt pistol, a mastercrafted power weapon, and a storm shield. And then the hunting wolves have teeth and claws. Heavy bolt pistol is a heavy bolt pistol. Mastercrafted power weapon is 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 5, -2 AP and 2 damage. You can then also take all these models can each have their mastercrafted power weapon and storm shield replaced with 1 paired mastercrafted power weapon. So the paired mastercrafted weapons have 6 attacks rather than 4, but is otherwise the same profile. Weirdly doesn't have twin length, even though it's called a pair of weapons.
Yeah, but you get a load of extra attacks, which is probably preferable.
You get 2 extra attacks. Yeah, I guess normally they would just give you the same number but make it twin linked. So yeah, maybe that's what they've done. And then lastly, the teeth and claws is 3 attacks, only hitting on 4s.
Hey, there you go.
Only hitting on 4s. Strength 4, AP 0, 1 damage, which is a bit more standard. Hold on, let's see what their stat is. So they are hitting on 2s. Strength 5, -1, 1 damage. So the Logan Grimnar's wolves are jacked up in comparison.
Well, that's fair. He has the pick of the litter, so to speak.
Yes, quite likely. They seem pretty good. And then if we just very briefly look at what the character buff, if you take the Wolfguard battle leader, so he has tempered ferocity while this model is leading a unit. Weapons equipped by this model in the unit have sustained hits 1. And each time a model in that unit makes an attack that targets an enemy unit within 6 inches, reroll a hit roll of 1. And then he's also got Heroic Last Stand. If this model is destroyed by a melee attack, if he's not fought this phase, roll a d6 on a 2+, don't remove him from play. The destroyed model can then fight the attacking unit after he's finished making attacks. He's then removed from play. It's interesting. His Storm Shield gives him a 6-up. It gives him 6 wounds because he's already got the 4-up invuln. Whereas the Storm Shield of the Head Takers gives you the classic invulnerable save, whereas other things like Custodes or Blade Guard get extra wounds, don't they, from their...
Well, Blade Guard have 3
shields.
wounds and a 4-up invuln, so yeah, but these guys have 3 wounds standard, and then you can give them access to a 4-up invuln.
Because they don't have the invuln, yeah.
Yeah, but
okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I would have...
it's odd that you can't pick a mix either. So it's like you've either all got to have the dual weapons or all shields.
Yeah, but that's quite normal for 40k these days, isn't it? It's sort of it's quite
true because it's obviously taking just one shield and be like, I'm tanking it all on him.
Well, exactly.
Like, okay, of course you are. I mean, personally, I'd probably go for the storm shields just for the invuln save, because the extra attacks is nice, but it's only 2 extra per model.
Yeah, I mean, it adds up if you've gone for the full unit of 6. As I say, the unit's just weird. It's a weird unit, but fine. Overall, I think this is the thing with Space Wolves, and we need to talk Black Templars, right? So we'll get on to that. But in summary, I think the thing is with Space Wolves is they've got some okay detachments. They've got some actually quite useful detachments on the whole. Like I said, the lethal hits one seems legitimately very strong, actually, as long as obviously your opponent is bringing lots of characters, monsters, and vehicles, which pretty much everyone is. So, yeah, that seems quite strong. some of the stratagems and abilities in that seem quite reasonable. I think the thing that's weird about Space Wolves is the fact that they've got this interesting array of characters, but those characters come with their equivalent taxes, where it's like you can't take these characters with units that aren't Space Wolf specific. And I think that can be quite weird, because, you know, you might be like, oh, I'd like to take Ragnar Blackmane, but I'd like to take him in a unit of Assault Intercessors as opposed to Blood Claws. But unfortunately, you're stuck, right? And then you end up in a weird situation where, yeah, these characters are kind of locked to specific units, which is a flexibility that isn't, it's a flexibility that's available to all the other Space Marine supplements. You know, if I'm running Dark Angels and I've got Azrael can join a whole slew of units, not just Dark Angel specific ones. Again, maybe that's just a consequence of the fact that Space Wolves have so many units versus the Dark Angels and Blood Angels, who only have maybe a relatively, by comparison, small selection. But that's the weirdest part of it. So I think that's the thing. It's like, I think ultimately, yeah, if you treat your Space Wolf Codex supplement almost like a standalone book, I think you're probably not going to probably be playing the most optimal list, but you probably will be getting a more Space Wolf specific experience, I suppose. But if you're trying to build like competitive lists, it'd be interesting to see what people are prioritizing in that space. I do think they're really good. I think the lethal hits thing is good. I think I do think there's some play there. Because Space Marines are just generally good anyway, and you've still got access to Oaths, which is strong on across the boards. So yeah, I don't know. It's like the models are hot. I love the models. The rules just seem a little bit like, yeah, they're all right, but they don't feel like undeniably amazing. But you know, ultimately, do they need to be? It's a cool range of models. People love them. Space Wolves are great. I genuinely wouldn't. I completely would understand why people are collecting and playing this army and struggling on with it. And obviously here is the rub as well. If you're getting into Space Wolves right now and collecting them, by the time you're probably putting them down on the tabletop, we're going to be in a new edition anyway. So who even flipping knows what they're going to be? Because, 11 months from now, or not even that now, 9 months from now, they're going to be totally different. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would be inclined to avoid the Fenrisian Wolves, the Wolfen, and the Venerable Dreadnoughts if you're collecting as a new person, just because those feel like they'd be the ones likely to be replaced in the future.
Yes, 100%.
Whereas you're very safe and also the Arm Priest, whereas you'll be safe with everything else, because that's all new, fresh kits.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too bad, I would say. But, yeah, great minis, really cool thematic rules, interesting playstyle, just a few little weird hiccups that make it strange to me, but not unplayable. I think at the end of the day, Space Marines are always a good bet, and those Space Wolf minis are great. So that's why we'll leave it there. Next, the Black Templars. Codex Supplement Black Templars. We'll start with the cover as always. I'm not really sure what's going on with this character image. The bits of it I like, but I feel like the star of the show is off to the right, and the geezer that they're focusing on, which I guess sort of is a crusading knight character who I'm guessing could be an Emperor's champion, but doesn't quite look like he's carrying the black sword, so probably isn't. I'm not really sure why he's got a kind of little flap of fabric at the back of his tiara. That's a confusing element to the picture that's sort of odd. But
it's just like a literal medieval crusader sort of vibe.
It's fine, I think. I mean, the guy with the bowl cut in the foreground, blasting his bolter, is fine. He's definitely having a whale of a time. He's got a lot of a lot of enthusiasm there. But yeah, I just think the Chaplain mini to the right is super cool. I love the fact that he's got like the ornate crazy stuff going on over his head, and the Crozius and is striding forwards with purpose, and has a real kind of weight and presence to him. Banner stuff in the back's kind of nice. Yeah, I just think the central figure's probably not the best, really. It's far from the worst. It's way better than the 9th edition Black Templar Codex. I mean, good lord. The old 9th ed Black Templar Codex was totally awful, unless, of course, you were a sensible person and got your hands on the limited edition version of it. Although actually, now that I'm saying those words out loud, I think that actually was an 8th edition tome. Actually, no, I can't remember. Did Black Templars came along in 9th edition, didn't they? They did, didn't they?
Yes, they did, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? They look quite similar in terms of style. I don't think I think the other one was better than this one. Oh, it's a very similar style. It's like it's the same guy, but he's just put a helmet on.
Yes.
He's got the same axe on, and he's got the same sort of tabard, but it's got a red cross instead of what it was before, was a black cross.
I don't, is he carrying an axe
guy,
in this image? Or is it a sword? Is it an
I
axe or
mean,
a sword?
I would assume it's an axe, but it doesn't. But there's no crossbar, right? So unless he's holding it, but it doesn't look like a sword to me. I think it's meant to be an axe, but you can't tell because it's cropped off. So that's the problem. I think, yeah, the guy at the bottom who's screaming and shooting in complete side profile, phenomenal. Chaplain at the back, cool. Guy in the middle just looks weird. He's got like a small head. He's slightly too far to the right. It's that classic case of, we always say it, never portray a Space Marine's armpits, because it just always looks weird when the pauldrons are like upside down and you're looking into the armour. So yeah, just doesn't look great, I don't think.
Yeah. I'm flipping through the book and I got to page 13 where they're showing the different armour variants for the different crusades. And I appreciate there are very subtle differences, but it is funny when they're like, look at the detailed differences between the Armageddon crusade and say the Caldomian crusade. It's like,
yeah, Caldomian.
It's like it's the same. It's the same thing. It's like, oh, he's got a white bolt gun. Okay, fair enough. Good.
Yeah, the difference mostly is the pauldrons, which you're not really seeing. It's and the shield that again isn't anywhere on this model in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice that they give the options, and I think painting wise, Black Templars is probably like one of the best Space Marine chapters you can pick because of all the checkers and the heraldry that you can add and personalise onto your miniatures. They obviously show the classic John Blanche artwork, which is phenomenal, and to me that is still peak Black Templars.
Oh, 100%. And I think the Black Templar range, it really stood out because this was in 9th edition GW kind of coming to the table and being like, okay, cool, we're going to start doing, unique Black Templar sculpts and bring those, Primaris scale miniatures into more kind of chapter specific stuff. And, High Marshal Helbrecht is still easily one of my favourite Warhammer 40,000 miniatures of all time. Grabaldus is cool. Sword Brethrens are cool. The general, normal, everyday Crusader squad is cool. I think there's a lot of really awesome miniatures in the Black Templar range. I think there's just got a lot of attitude, a lot of presence, a lot of, a lot of cool stuff to kind of gaze upon. So, yeah, I'm genuinely really into the Black Templars as a range and as a rule set. Again, I've been playing Black Templars on and off since 3rd edition, so they are amongst the armies that I consider myself a fan and or collector of. But yeah, I haven't been actively playing them for quite a while, but that may well change in the future. But I don't know. I'm quite Age of Sigmar focused at the moment in terms of my painting table, but hopefully I'll get an excuse to going back and doing some more Black Templars. I've written some lists, by the way, Phil, and again, I'm always like, oh, good Lord, the amount of minis you need to do 40k armies is always astounding.
Yeah, I mean, if they could change one thing in 11th Ed, I think that would be it. Make the armies smaller, so you've got more of an incentive to collect multiple different armies rather than just have one big, massive, all-encompassing army, which, I think a lot of people do like to do. You're right, I really like Black Templars. I think, the black, white, and red colour scheme is super strong. I've painted up one mini for our mate Toke. It was a gift for one of his friends, because he was painting, getting people to paint up all different chapters. I really loved doing that. It was one of my, I think, 3 or top 2 hotly contested ideas for collecting Space Marines before I landed on Minotaurs. So yeah, I mean, I always like the idea of having a Black Templars army.
No, they are cool. They are really cool. Cool. So when we get into the rules, Black Templars are unique in the sense that they do not have access to the Oath of Moment. So it's super interesting how that works. There's some specific language around that momentarily, but yeah, basically their army rule is the Templars' vows. So if your army faction is Adeptus Astartes, at the start of your first battle round, select one of the following vows to be active for Adeptus Astartes units from your army. While a vow is active for a unit from your army, that unit has the associated abilities shown below. So first battle round, select one, and that's what you have basically for the game. So, abhor the witch, destroy the witch. Each time a unit declares a charge, if one or more targets of that charge have the Psyker keyword, you can reroll the charge roll. Melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have the precision ability while targeting Psyker units. Good. Go kill those witches. Phil, tell us about accepting any challenge.
Accept any challenge no matter the odds each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack. If the strength characteristic of that attack is less than or equal to the toughness characteristic, add 1 to the wound roll. So, 5s become 4s, for example.
I mean, what's really actually very strong about that as well is there is the fact that often these rules trigger when a unit has greater strength. So there's a number of instances where you might be fighting into an enemy and you might be strength 5 and they may be toughness 4. So the strength of your weapon is reduced as a result of targeting that. But because you have the +1 strength in an equals to situation, you are then still getting a +1 wound.
4s become 3s. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, so that is an interesting variable.
Because the first one, the Abhor the Witch one, feels you're only going to pick that if you're against, Grey Knights, Thousand Suns, or another super psycho heavy army.
Eldari, yeah, but even then they don't have huge amounts of them these days. But yeah, God, I mean, if you're on the battlefield, again, because you pick these at the start of the game, if you're facing, Thousand Suns, pretty great ability, but obviously it's very situational. But that's what's nice about it as a rule, because it is situational.
Good to pick, yeah.
Yeah. Suffer not the unclean to live. This unit is eligible to declare a charge at a turn in which it fell back, and each time a model in this unit makes a pile-in or consolidation move, it does not need to end that move closer to the closest enemy model, provided it ends that move as close as possible to the closest enemy unit. Confusing way of wording it, but yeah, basically being able to charge after falling back is very useful. Last one for you, Phil.
Uphold the honor of the Emperor. So if this unit has the infantry keyword at the end of your command phase, if this unit is within range of an objective marker you control, that objective marker remains under your control until your opponent's level of control of that objective marker is greater than yours at the end of the phase. Basically sticky objectives. And also, which is very good, also, if your mission you are playing features actions, this unit is eligible to perform an action in the turn in which it advanced.
Very strong.
Also very strong.
Yeah.
So that's a top contender. I think for me, it's the, +1 to your wound roll or this one.
Yeah, I think those are your two, basically. But again, Abhor the Witch could come in handy. Falling back in charge, I think, you're probably not going to pick that out of the 4, but who knows? We got the Heirs of Sigismund, which is basically a bunch of stuff about the army. So if this is Adeptus Astartes unit has a second faction keyword or its data sheet on its data sheet, that faction keyword, so that's fine. You cannot include units from more than one chapter in your army. Yeah, cool. If your army includes one or more of the more units from Black Templars chapter, or you're using one detachment found in the following pages, You cannot use first. Oh, okay. So you cannot use first company task force detachment. Your army cannot include psychers. Your army cannot include the following data sheets from Codex Space Marines: Gladiator Lancer, Gladiator Reaper, Gladiator Valiant, Impulsor, Land Raider Crusader, Repulsor Executioner, Stern Guard Veteran Squad, and Terminator Squad. Those are not
because they're in here.
They are in here, yes, but they are
weirdly. Yeah.
Well, the reason why that is because all of those units either would otherwise be able. So basically, all of the vehicles in this book get access to a multi-mounter, and the Stern Guard Veteran Squad and Terminator Squads have abilities that trigger because of Oath of Moment.
Oh, so they removed them and I guess swapped something else out. Oh, that
Correct.
makes sense. I sort of didn't just get why they just didn't say these specific vehicles can also take out a gun and then call it a day rather than re-include all the detachments, but the data sheets. But I guess it's, because they want to be able to sell you cards with those things on, so you can just be like, this is my thing and it's got everything on it. And I don't have to look at another page to see that thing is missing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a bit odd.
So I'm just having a quick look at what they've done to Stern Guard veterans. I won't read all their profiles because it's Stern Guard veterans. But basically, Stern Guard veterans targeting an open moment target are really, really strong because obviously if they're not Black Templars, for example, I mean, they can't be Black Templars because Black Templars can't use open moment, but if they're like Ultramarines, you get obviously reroll your hit rolls, +1 wound, and because you were Stern Guard, you got to basically reroll all your wound rolls as well. But in place of that, they've basically given you Virtuous Onslaught. So each time a model in this unit makes a attack that targets. Oh, sorry, this is Stern Guard. Close to the end of the target, reroll a wound roll of 1. So basically, each time one of this unit makes an attack that targets the closest eligible target, you just get to reroll wound rolls of 1. Which, to be honest with you, isn't that bad. I'd be intrigued to know how they've tweaked the points of Stern Guard to see if they're cheaper as a result of that, but they probably aren't. But yeah, it's definitely not as strong as obviously synergizing with the Oath of Moment to reroll hit rolls and wound rolls. But yeah, and the Terminator Squad has Judgment of the Weak each time an enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles. Okay. When engaged range of this unit falls back, all models in that enemy unit must take a desperate escape test. When doing so, if that enemy unit's battle shots, subtract 1 from each of those tests. Okay. So rather than adding +1 to hit against the oath target, yeah. Also, actually, oh god.
So points-wise, for Stern Guard, they're 100 for 5 for the regular ones. They're 85 for the veterans, and they're 200 for the 10-man squad, or they're 170 for the Black Templar specific ones.
Well, that makes sense. Is there much of a difference?
So 15 points cheaper.
Is there much of a difference between the Terminators?
Oh, let's have a quick look.
Because Judgment of the Weak is a lot worse than First Company Veterans or whatever. Because First Company Veterans is when you're targeting a unit that is the Oath of Moment target, you get +1 to hit against it. So you basically become like hitting on 2s, which is really useful. But yeah, and this is just, I mean, it's fair enough, I suppose. If people want to fall back from combat with Terminators, they're going to be worse off for it. So maybe there is a logic to
that. So the regular ones are 170. Hold on, let me just double check that's correct. Yeah, 170. The Black Templars ones are 175.
Oh, so they're more expensive. Weird.
5 points more.
Maybe I'm missing something.
I guess maybe they've got more stuff.
Doesn't look like it.
So a regular Terminator squad, in terms of its abilities, has Teleport Homer.
Yeah, which has.
This one does. And it has Fury of the First, which is add 1 to hit rolls if you're targeting your Oath of Moment target.
Yeah.
And this one has Judgment of the Weak, which is each time an enemy unit, excluding monsters or vehicles within engagement range of this unit, falls back, all models in that enemy unit take a desperate escape test. When doing so, that unit is battle. Oh, if the enemy unit is battle shock, subtract 1 from those tests. I mean, that sort of sounds quite useful because it's the sort of squad you would probably want to fall back from, depending on who you are. But I wouldn't necessarily say that's better than +1 to your hit roll.
No, I agree.
When everything's hitting on 3s, but would be 2s.
Yeah, it doesn't feel. It feels like they should probably be the same points, if nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, anyway, so yeah, we've established what those differences are there because of the whole thing, and then ultimately, if you want to take any of the vehicles, you basically have the option of adding a multi-melter in addition to something else, and the points are probably adjusted accordingly, but probably only like a 5-point delta, I would guess.
Let's see. So regular gladiator is 160, and the Black Templars one is 160. So you get your multi-melter for free.
Nice.
That's where you make up your points. Let's just check the Reaper to make sure that's the same. That's 160. And the Black Templars one is also 160. Yeah, so weirdly, even though you're getting a whole multi-melter on top for free, it's no points difference.
You're having it instead of that incredibly potent heavy stubber, Phil. You know, that's, you're feeling that loss.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of feel like they'd just be better off including that in the box for everyone to have and then just have it, not having to split the data sheets out. I guess it's like thematic that they get those, but
yeah,
it seems odd.
Anyway. Right, we have detachments. We've got companions of vehemence. What am I saying here?
Yeah,
right,
vehemence.
Not vehemence. You can reroll advanced and charge rolls made for Adeptus Astartes units. Your army can include Black Templar units, but cannot include any. Okay, yeah, fine. So this is them just talking about the restrictions. Yeah, fine.
Well,
so,
yeah,
yes.
I suppose you can't include any Adeptus Astartes units drawn from any other chapter. But this is the point I was saying earlier. It's odd that this specifically states it on the detachment page, whereas the Space Wolf one pretty much said that in the army page.
I mean, in a way,
I don't get why it's added this in here.
I guess this probably just went to print slightly later, and they realised the mistake they made with the angelic host stuff around Grotmus and everyone running Blood Angel detachments as if they were ultra.
Well, yeah, because I guess potentially with a Space Wolf one, you could just take a generic chapter and pretend you're a Space Wolf just to get access to the detachments.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, look, re-rolling charge rolls is good. Re-rolling advanced rolls is also good. So yeah, pretty good. Again, for my money, I would have just preferred it if they just basically were like, you advance 6, you always advance 6, and you charge 6 plus D6. That'd be nice, but whatever. Maybe I just want too much. Enhancement-wise, so basically the vibe here is that you want to take chaplains. That's the whole kind of vibe of it. They've added a new chaplain to the army, which we'll talk about in a moment. But yeah, so one of the chaplain's specific abilities is the merciless denomination. What is that saying, Phil?
Denunication.
Denunication. All right, fine. Chaplain or Judicar models only. Each time a model in the bearer's unit makes a melee attack, you can re-roll the hit rolls. So there you go. The chaplain gives you re-rolls hits. Very good. Anything you want to talk about, mate?
I quite like the Zealous Vanguard, which is Adeptus Astartes models only. Models in the bearer's unit have Scout 6-inch ability, which I feel like was an enhancement that one of the Space Wolf ones got as well.
It did, yeah, although that was Scout 7.
Oh, cool, because they move a bit quicker.
Yeah, they move a bit quicker. Stratagem-wise, who doesn't love a... Well, I'm torn between two, but I'm going to go for a devout push. So, happens in the fight phase. One Adeptus Astartes infantry unit that has not been selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a pile-in or consolidation move, it can move up to 6 instead of 3. A unit cannot be targeted with this, and the heart hardened to duty stratagem in the same phase, unless Phil, it has the chaplain or Judicar keyword. So, Hearts hardened to duty, just to say, is until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a consolidation move, it does not need to end that move closer to the closest enemy model or the closest enemy unit if the suffer not the unclean to live vow is active. Okay, fine. Yeah, so that's the other vow we were talking about.
Which was the vows that the army rules, yeah.
So that's quite nice. So basically what it's saying is you basically pop 2 CP and you can just move 6 inches in any direction, which is super cool.
That's quite cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, pretty strong. It's actually quite a weird movement buff as well, though, because say, for example, you charge in with like 2 units and both those units have chaplains, you could kill the unit with one of the units, and then still, because you've made a charge move, you can activate, and then you can basically go, cool, I'm going to pile in 6
to try and get to another unit or something.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. Until the end of phase, each time a more in the unit makes a pile in or consolidation. I'll say you can do, basically, you could get a 12-inch move off the back of this in very weird circumstances.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do you want to talk about, Phil?
Heresy begets retribution. Strategic.
That was going to be my other one
CP.
as well. It sounds fancy.
Okay, no, it does sound good. Your opponent's movement phase just after an enemy unit ends a normal move, advance, or fallback move. You target one chaplain or justiciar unit from your army that is within 9 inches of that enemy unit and is not within engagement range of one or more enemy units. So the effect is your unit can make a retribution move. To do so, roll a d6, move models in your unit move a number of inches up to the result, but your unit must end that move as close as possible to the closest enemy unit, excluding aircraft. When doing so, those models can be moved within engagement range of that enemy unit. So it's like the old rule that I think Black Templars used to have, or was it the Dreadnoughts had? Something like that. I remember Joe running it constantly. And also, weirdly, we didn't talk about it, but the Murder Fang Dreadnought has a similar ability, I think, but it only happens once.
Yeah.
Whereas before there was a weird rule where this could be triggered every time the unit was shot at in previous editions, which was obviously broken. So the fact that it's now a stratagem, you can obviously only do it once.
Well, the Crusader squads also still have a similar ability as well.
Oh, do they?
They do, yeah. They have the ability to move out sequence also. Nice. Tell us about the Vindication task force, Phil. What does that do?
So this is Purge and Sanctify. Each time an attack targets an ancient from your army, which are the banner bearers, of which there's a new one. This edition. If that unit is within range of one or more objective markers and the strength characteristic of that attack is greater than the toughness characteristic of that unit, subtract 1 to the wound roll, which is what we were talking about earlier. When strength beats toughness, you reduce it by 1. Also, each time a Crusader squad unit from your army makes a Righteous Zeal move, which is just what you were talking about, that unit can end that move as close as possible to the closest objective marker instead of as close as possible to the closest enemy unit. So you can charge onto an objective and with that specific move, which is quite good.
Yeah, no, it is pretty strong. So we have an enhancement that's specific to ancients, and seeing as this, detachment should have an ancient in it, I'm guessing you're probably going to have at least one, and it's probable that you might look at giving it this enhancement, which is Imperialis of the Eternal Crusade. So ancient model only. Each time the enemy unit selects the bearer's unit as a target of a charge, subtract 2 from the charge roll. This is not cumulative of any other negatives. So -2 to charges. Massive for backline units and things that obviously don't want to be attacked by things coming out of Deep Strike. But even just in the general sense, if someone's 6 inches away from you, being effectively 8 inches is a much more difficult charge to accomplish than 6, right? So, yeah. Not bad.
Yeah. I'm going to pick Warden of Honor because we're going to stick with the ancient theme.
Oh, yeah,
so this
one is one,
Crusade Ancient, so I just looked it up. That is a keyword specific to the new model Ancient, whereas the other one would be other types of Ancients, like your Blade Champion Ancient and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this one is Crusade Ancient model only, while the bearer is leading the unit. Each time you roll a d6 for your bearer's Vengeful Exhortation ability, add 1. to the result. Oh god, we're going to have to look up and see what that does now.
Yep.
Because that is so Vengeful Exhortation, which is a Crusade Ancient ability. While this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit is destroyed by a melee attack, if it hasn't fought its phase, roll a d6 on a 4+, it gets to fight before it dies. So you get to do it on a 3+, which is pretty good. He can join Crusader squads and Sword Brethren squads, but he can also be attached even though there's a Captain, Chapter Master, or Execrator or Lieutenant model has already been attached to one of those units.
Yeah, decent. Really decent. Stratagem-wise, there's a couple in there that are specific to Ancients. There is Reclaim Our Honor. When your opponent, it happens in your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase, just after an enemy unit destroys an Ancient model from your army that has not been targeted with the refusal to yield stratagem this phase. Which seems like we never need to talk about that. One attempted to start a unit from your army visible to the enemy unit until the end of the battle. Each time an attempted to start a model from your army makes an attack targeting that enemy unit, add 1 to the hit roll. You cannot target the Ancient model with refusal to use. You cannot target that Ancient model with the refusal to yield stratagem this phase. So there is a restriction. A refusal to yield is basically at the end of the phase, set your models back up on the battlefield as close as possible to where it was destroyed and not within engaged range of one or more enemy units with its 4 wounds remaining. So basically, when
someone else picked up the banner.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite cool for 1 CP to do that. You can't target the same model more than once per battle with that stratagem, though, but that's cool.
Yeah, so you can have for 1 CP a bunch of resurrecting Ancients. I mean, ultimately, if you're taking marshals or captains, like regular Space Marine captains in the squad with this geezer, presumably you can still access the -1 to stratagem ability from the captain. So, you know, you can have your resurrecting Ancient, although the circumstances by which the Ancient would be dying would be in a situation where either it's been precisioned out, or more likely the whole squad's died, and at that point the captain and the Ancient are separate units anyway, so it's a relatively moot point, but interesting all the same.
Yeah, but I assume you can, because just after the Ancient model has been destroyed, so could you technically get it for free from your captain? Has the squad already split at that point of being destroyed? Or does this technically happen beforehand? That would be interesting, because then he's being added back into a unit that doesn't exist and is just a standalone unit next to the captain, even though they were... I mean, who knows?
Who knows? Tell us the stratagem, Phil, and we'll then move on to Godhammer Assault Force.
I'll do Spore of the Unholy, so SPOOR, Spore of the Unholy. It's in your shooting phase or fight phase, it's 1 CP. You target one Adeptus Astartes units from your army that's not been selected to shoot or fight. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit have the Ignores Cover ability, and each time a model in your unit makes an attack, you can ignore any and all modifiers to the following: the attack's characteristic, the attack's ballistic skill and weapon skill characteristic, and the hit roll. So no minuses to hit. That's, that's rare, but it's good that you've got an option to negate that if it's appearing.
Yeah. If we go to the Godhammer Assault Force, it's a strange name again, and the picture kind of denotes the idea that it's essentially Terminators getting out of Land Raider Crusaders and going in hard. Which makes sense. Cool. It does sound good, to be fair, doesn't it? But essentially, as a rule, if you charge after getting out of a transport, you make the enemy take battleship tests, and then you also get +1 to your hit rolls. So, again, for very particular types of armies, with very particular types of units, it can be pretty good. Again, the problem is with Warhammer 40,000 at the moment is taking loads of Land Raiders.
Land Raiders that got to fit round the terrain.
Yeah, so it's hard to do that. But regardless, it's a cool concept. I like transport-based armies. I think they're fun. So I do see the viability and the entertainment value in those. But yeah, and if we were talking through some particular enhancements, there don't appear to be any. Oh, here you go. Herald of Sacred Slaughter, Adeptus Astartes model only. In the declare battle formation step, if the bearer starts the battle embarked within a dedicated transport, that dedicated transport has Scout 9. So that's pretty fun.
I mean, it feels just a bit odd that we've picked up several enhancements now that all just give a unit Scout.
Yeah.
It feels like surely there's a bit more scope, guys, of you is the bucket of, pick and mix enhancements running a bit lower variety at the moment. But let's see, I'm going to pick All Grease Servo Host. It could be the little man, not on this cover, but the Space Wolves cover with his little servo skull. This is Adeptus Astartes model only. At the start of your shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 12 inches and visible to the bearer. And to the end of the phase, models in that unit can have the benefits of cover. I mean, that's quite good.
It's not bad. I was just checking to be sure. The only Black Templar mini, anyway, that is a dedicated transport is the Impulse.
Oh, Crusader.
No, Land Raider.
Get...
Land Raider Crusader is not a dedicated transport.
Oh.
Yeah, weird, isn't it?
Oh, so the enhancement doesn't work on the Land Raider Crusader.
No, you have to.
It's got too many guns, I guess.
Yeah. Very odd, isn't it? Anyway. Stratagems, for the sake of talking about one, I'll go with Blessed Hull, because that sounds related to vehicles. So you do it in your opponent's shooting phase after they've selected it as a target. It's a vehicle that is being targeted by the attacks until the end of the phase. So end of the phase, each time an attack is allocated to a model in your unit, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of the attack. So -1 damage. 2 CP seems a bit heavy for that, but fine. Again, unless they've FAQ'd it, they seem quite specific in their wording, so it's basically all sources of damage that could target it. So again, if you've got a Land Raider, being able to be -1 damage is pretty tasty, I would say.
I'm going to pick Gauntlet of the God Emperor, which is one of my favourite types of stratagems. It's 1 CP. In your movement phase, select a Astartes vehicle. Until the end of the phase, each time a model makes a normal advanced move, it can move horizontally through terrain features.
Oh, that's tasty.
Fantastic.
Tasty. Yeah, strong.
Just make it a core stratagem, Games Workshop, because everyone's got it. It's fun. Just make it a cool one. 11th edition, here we come, everyone.
11th edition, baby. It's going to get good again. Cool. All right. Yeah. So, I mean, detachment wise, yeah, fine. I see, some intriguing value in them. It's weird, right? Like a detachment built around ancients feels very Black Templar-y in the sense that they have all these sacred relics and things. But obviously weird that you've got like one new ancient mini. So, but you then have to kind of again, obviously there's lots of conversion potential, I guess, but it's interesting to think that, you've got to then, if you really want to maximize the potential of it, get a bunch of other ancients. So I suppose you could have the Blade Guard Ancient and the regular Ancient and do some converting on them or whatever. But yeah.
And the Command Squad Ancient.
Oh yeah, the Command Squad Ancient as well. Yeah, that's true. There's another one in there. So yeah, there are options, I suppose. But yeah, unit-wise, we already talked about Terminators. We already talked about Stern Guard. They're interesting of themselves. We've got the new Execrator. Yeah, we'll go with that.
That sounds right.
Yeah. A former crater. Basically a chaplain, but Black Templar flavoured. So, yeah, I mean, weapon-wise, it's a chaplain, right? The difference is he's got the Crozius Arcanum and an additional power weapon that you can choose to have. So you can basically have him dual wielding a Crozius and a power sword, which is super cool because that gives you extra free attacks basically. So that mini goes up to like 8 attacks, which is quite tasty. There is this, so that's quite interesting.
You can also have a flame pistol.
You can have a flame pistol, which is a common. The Pyre pistol is a common armament of the Black Templars, which is actually really fun as well.
What I find quite funny with all these characters, like even not High Marshal Hellbreath, but the leader of the Space Wolves.
Oh yeah,
is that they've all got like really basic weapons. Like they've got this amazing combat profile, a uniquely named axe, for example, that does like 10 attacks. But then he's like, "I've just got a Stormbolter. Is it a special Stormbolter? No, it's just a Stormbolter. Has it got any AP? Maybe one. Has it got much damage? Maybe one. Yeah, yeah. The weapon profiles are like damage free, 10 attacks, precision, lethal hits. It's just like, it's funny that all the special characters just get really basic pistol weapons.
Yeah,
I find that quite amusing.
Yeah, it's always an interesting juxtaposition, I suppose.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's got remorseless persecution. While this model is leading a unit, that unit is able to declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced. So that's massive. Like that's a hugely powerful rule. And condemnatory annihilation. Each time this model's unit has fought, if one or more enemy units were destroyed as a result of those attacks, each enemy unit within 6 of this model must take a battle shock test, which again, circumstantial, but is actually potentially quite strong. Myself and Phil, when we did the doubles a few months back, leaned into battle shock as a mechanic via the Mechanicus Rad
bombardment.
That's the words I was looking for. Thank you. Yeah, and to be fair, battle shock isn't that devastating until it is, and when it is, it's actually really quite annoying. So, yeah, not the best rule ever, but not bad by any stretch of the imagination.
No. I mean, it's quite cool and thematic, but again, it's almost like a sort of core rule that needs to be within the game itself. So every time you kill a unit, that person takes morale checks, battle shock tests for units nearby, which is sort of how morale used to work in older editions of the game when units fled past or fled through other units. Having it on a character, well, that's nice, but having it just as a baked-in rule to the whole game would make Battle Shock much more impactful, which is sort of what you need it to be.
No, I don't disagree. And then, yeah, we already talked about the Crusade Ancient and his ability to make people fight on 4+, if they haven't already done so. The other thing with him is you add 5 to his OC if he's killed something, basically. So, again, not necessarily as good as the regular Ancient that just increases the unit OC by virtue of being in it, but at least a bit more kind of thematically interesting in that sense. Is there any particular units you wanted to talk about, Phil? I think the Sword Brethren squad's worth touching on, but...
Yeah, I think so. Well, I was going to say it's worth noting that AVERAGE HERETIC can only join Crusader squads and Sword Brethren.
Yes.
So let's then talk about Sword Brethren. They got quite a boggo stat line. Well, actually, not quite. It's movement 6, toughness 4, Saver 3+, wounds 3+, not 3+, 3, leadership 6+, and OC 1. So they're sort of statted a bit like Blade Champions, right? So, Blade Guard.
Blade Guard, yeah.
They've got exploit their cowardice. Each time an enemy unit within engagement range of this unit is selected to fall back. After it ends that fallback move, if this unit is not within engagement range of one or more enemy units, this unit can make a normal move. Okay, so that's quite cool. Also, if a character to your army with a leader ability can be attached to an intercessor squad, it can be attached to this unit instead. So that's quite cool. I assume none of the Space Wolf ones had this kind of rule.
That's correct. They didn't. And again, like the characters, although some are restricted, they have more options. So like Hellbrick can go into Assault Intercessors. Crusaders.
Same with Emperor's Chant.
Yeah.
Emperor's Champion as well.
Grimaldas can even actually go into Infernus squads, which is actually a super fun unit option for. Because actually, I quite like Infernus squads in Black Templars because it feels very on point.
Thematic, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like the sort of thing that you would expect, Black Templars to deploy,
Yeah.
And I mean, flipping out, Castellans can go in pretty much everything. Well, not everything, but they go in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I was just going to quickly talk about the unit composition of Sword Brethren. You can get 4 to 10 of them. They're all equipped with a heavy bolt pistol or Sartes chainsword, but then you can pick and mix them. So any number of Sword Brothers can have their Sartes chainswords replaced with one mastercrafted power weapon. For every 5 models in the unit, 1 chainsword can be replaced with 1 Thunderhammer. 1 bolt pistol can be replaced with 1 plasma pistol, and for every 5 models, 2 Sword Brethren can have their bolt pistols replaced with power pistols, and for every 5 models in this unit, 1 heavy bolt pistol and chainsword can be replaced with twin lightning claws. And why wouldn't you? Because it looks cool.
So to be clear with the unit composition, one of the things that's kind of weird is that it says that you can have 4 to 10, but you actually can do it. So you can take. There are 4 different 4 different values you can have. So you can have 4, 5, 9, and 10 is the numbers you can take for points.
Oh, so it's a bit odd that you can, because I assumed it would actually be 4 or 10. It's odd that it's not 5, actually. It's odd that it's 4.
Well, so specifically, the thing that's interesting about the Sword Brethren box set is that it makes either 5 Sword Brethren or 4 Sword Brethren and a Castellan. So it specifically has a set of bits that specifically make a Castellan. So it's one of those ones, kind of like the Custodes.
But it's odd because the Castellan Mini, they also sell separately. So the one on the Castellan data sheet is the Castellan specific standalone Mini.
Correct, but
but you can also build a Sword Brethren looking Castellan, is that right?
Correct, yeah. And it has the opportunity to take a combi weapon, which isn't an option available to the Sword Brethren, but it is an option available to the Castellan, basically. So basically there's combi weapons in the box that you can give to the Castellan, because that's the uniquely interesting thing about Marshals and Castellans, is that they can take combi weapons, which until recently lieutenants couldn't do, but they can now, I think, because the new kit came out. But for a while, Castellans were the only lieutenant type unit that could take a combi weapon.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so it's interesting how that works. But yeah, Sword Brethren seem dead good, though, because, I mean, if you look at them, they've got their... the chainsword seems crazy to me, by the way. Have you read the chainsword stat?
6 attacks, which feels quite high. Hitting on 2s. What? Okay, hitting on 2, strength 4, -1 damage, sustained hits 1.
Yeah.
I sort of don't understand why they're hitting on 2s. Is it because they're like elites?
Yeah, they're very good.
Surely Blade Guard aren't hitting on 2s.
They're not, they're hitting on 3s, sure. But they have poses, don't they? So they could be hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s if they wanted.
Oh, okay, yeah. What's interesting is obviously Blade Guard are really good, but it's 3 to 6 models, whereas here you can have up to 10. And the fact that that's basically 30 wounds you can have in a unit.
Yeah.
So that is a lot to, chew through.
Well, I mean, imagine, though, right, you take a 10-man unit of Sword Brethren, you chuck in this geezer that gives them the reroll, gives them the advance and charge ability, and then you take it in the chaplain-specific build out that also gives you access to re-rolling your advance and charge rolls, and then also is an enhancement to give you re-roll all your hits. It starts to get pretty bananas, right? Because all of a sudden you go in, here's 10 dudes, that's 60 attacks with chainswords, with sustained hits 1. I appreciate it's, not the most reliable, but, at -1 damage, it's not bad. But then the Mastercraft power weapons with lethal hits as well is pretty reasonable. I mean, a lot less attacks, but -2 damage. Not bad. Not bad, I would say.
Yeah, no, that's true.
They seem all right. But anyway, yeah, I reckon that'll probably do in terms of talking about the things. Although, we'll just mention Helbrecht because we might then later on do a matchup. We won't do it this episode, but yeah. But yeah, High Marshal Helbrecht. He's got a movement of 6, toughness of 4, saves good, wounds is fine, 6 wounds. Clearly his little servitors don't add any extras to him like the wolves do, although he's not in Terminator plate either. OC3,
There should be a clean your sword ability where you can do it once per game and it's extra shiny and you get more attacks.
That would be amazing. OC3 is very respectable. I have no idea why they've given him an OC3.
Yeah,
because I think
counter.
Well, yeah, but Logan Grimnar was OC1.
Really?
Yeah, and he was a sort of thematic base filled with extra bits.
Hold on.
But yeah, those servitors.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Well, clearly the wolves are too much of a distraction. Oh, sorry.
That's right.
Dropped it. Whereas, yeah, the servitors are doing work.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So he's also got a unique combi weapon, Phil, ferocity. So there you go. You were
just after I was mocking them for not having it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got anti-infantry 4. Anti-infantry 4+ with devastating wounds, which is pretty good. 2 attacks, ballistical 2+, strength 5, -1/2 damage. So nothing necessarily extraordinary, but obviously the fact that when he's shooting into infantry on 4+, he's doing it as dev. So, it's not bad. He's got the Sword of the High Marshal, which if you take it in a strike form, has 6 attacks, weapon skill 2+, strength 8, which, -3, but 3 damage.
-3 is not meh. Come on, Dan. -3 is good.
It is good to be fair. And then Sword of the High Marshal in a sweep form, 12 attacks, which is all right. Good, in fact. More than Grimnar's Axe, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, his was 10.
Weapon skill 2, strength 6, -3, 1 damage. So yeah, decent little profile. And then, he's got Crusade of Wrath. While this model is leading a unit, add 1 to the attacks and strength characteristic of melee weapons equipped by models in that unit, which includes him. So actually, he goes to 7 attacks, strength 9. So not bad. And then High Marshal, at the start of the fight phase, select 1 enemy unit within engagement range of this model. And roll d6, add 1 to the result for every 5 models in this model's unit. On a 2 or 3, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortals. On a 4 or 5, that unit suffers 3 mortals. And on a 6+, it suffers D3 plus 3 mortals. Okay, not bad. So every fight phase, he just goes, potentially D3 plus 3 mortal wounds. Ka-cha! Not bad.
Well, yeah, if you're taking a 10-man squad with him, that's +2.
Yeah.
That's pretty strong, even if that only lasts for 1 turn.
Yeah.
That is good.
And I mean, the fact that you're going to just do 3 flat mortals on the roll of a 4 or 5, basically you're looking at 4+ to do 3 mortals. That's pretty reasonable. Anyway, there we go. That was Black Templars. I think on the whole, Black Templars are an interesting one. I think the restrictions with the fact that you can't access things like librarians is an interesting variable. The way that they've rejigged certain kind of key units is also interesting. But obviously the fact is you can still gain access to your kind of key units like your Inceptors and other bits and pieces. So, yeah, on the whole, I mean, I'll be honest, I mean, both of them seem fine. I like Black Templars. I think the only thing that's weird about Black Templars is obviously the loss of Oath of Moment, but it feels like you're getting a lot of rerolls to hit from other means. We didn't talk about it, but the Castellan gives you rerolls to hit, and the Marshal seems pretty good. So, yeah, on the whole, I don't know. I think, at the end of the day, I think in essence, I would say that both the Black Templars and the Space Wolves benefit from having 2 really gorgeous ranges of miniatures. But don't necessarily have the most inspiring rule sets necessarily. They seem fine, and I'm sure people will make them work, but I'm not necessarily seeing anything in them that's as immediately obviously powerful as some of the Dark Angel stuff that we got out of the gate and some of the Blood Angel stuff that we got out of the gate, right? Because there's some things in Blood Angels, where we were like, oh my God, take a captain, give him this weapon, give him this thing. And then for one turn only, he's a wrecking machine. And it's like, great, makes sense. I mean, again, I probably need to spend some more time on forums looking at like what people are saying the combos are. But on the whole, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm really excited to do Black Templars again. I bought a load of more Black Templar stuff. I've written a bunch of lists. I just need to find the time to build a bunch of stuff, which at the moment is being preoccupied with building Skaven in advance of a Age of Sigmar doubles event that we're going to. But yeah, hopefully when I come out the other side of that, I'll find a bit of enthusiasm to do Black Templars again, because they seem really fun. And Space Wolves I like as well, on the account of the fact they're cool. But
yeah, I mean, Space Wolves to me are now genuinely cool, whereas before they were a bit like, what's the right word? Like they were a bit like lame but edgy. Like they were a bit too try hard. And a bit too, like, you had Logan Grimnar on his sled, and you had the flying thing that looked like a bit stupid. And, I mean, you've still got a Thunderwolf Cavalry, right, which still look a bit silly in my book. But the rest of it sort of being now with new scrubs makes it actually a genuinely compelling army, I think, to pick up, whereas before I was never particularly that... I never even consider ever owning a Space Wolf army. I just thought they're a bit naff. Whereas now I generally think, they actually look like how they're clearly being portrayed in the lore, and they look kind of much more Viking-y, and they've just got their cool back, basically.
Totally agree with you, pal. Cool, well, there we go. In essence, what we're basically saying to you is if you like these kind of things, these are going to be the kind of things that you like. I genuinely really love Black Templars. I think they're cool. I'm really excited to be inspired to collect them, or rather I've been collecting them, but I'm inspired to kind of paint them again, which is nice. And again, it's been really difficult to resist the pull of the Space Wolf minis. They're so nice. And that is a range that is definitely worthy of supporting. So, yeah, on the whole, I mean, have the rules blow me away? No, not necessarily. But I think Space Marines are always consistently strong to the point that you can always, rely on them doing right by you. So, yeah, in essence, I think these are two cool additions to the Space Marine pantheon. Black Templars haven't lost too much. They've lost the old classic Firstborn Crusader squads, but evidently you could continue to run those as proxying for the new, what would have been called Primaris Crusade squads in the past. So, yeah, that's it, really. On the whole, I'm pretty generally happy about it, which is cool. Anything else, Phil, or do you want me to move on to this week's 5-star review?
Oh no, let's move on, because I think you've said it all. Yeah, two great armies, reasonably good codexes, and lots of codex supplements, and lots of flexibility. And it'll be interesting to sort of get into the nitty gritty of seeing if they would actually do well using the more generic Space Marine detachments as well as their own specific ones. Because obviously they've only got 3, which isn't many, but obviously they're still supplemented by all the other Space Marine detachments out there that you can take. Yeah,
no, agreed. All right, bro, well, there we go. That was us doing that, and now we're going to do a 5-star review to basically end episode 214. So, yeah, check that out. Transitional noise. Try as we might, Phil, I can't seem to convince people outside of Great Britain to leave us 5-star reviews at the moment. I check all the places, and yeah, the well is dry, although I probably need to be better at figuring out how to check more places at once. As I said to you before, Phil, the loss of whatever the old charting website I used to use is really kicking me in the bum.
Yes, I remember. Chartable.
That was it. How I missed thee, because it's really hard to find 5-star reviews without it. But thankfully, people keep leaving us 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts of Great Britain. So I just keep going back there. And often there are new ones. So it's quite nice.
It's a bit of a shame we're not back to the old voting game, because it would be much easier. I'd just have a greater chance of success now.
Well, that's it, mate. That's it. But, these are the losses that you have to endure as a result of our change in format, I suppose. But maybe we'll bring it back one of these days as a nod to those who remember. But yeah, no, seriously, if you are somewhere that isn't Apple Podcasts of Great Britain and listening to the pod and you want to show some support, I appreciate Spotify is a bit of a weird one because you can basically give it a review or, tick that you like it to the extent that you want to give it a number of stars, and you can also comment on the episodes as well, which is definitely a fun feature of the thing. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's it's basically Apple Podcasts of Great Britain at the moment holding up the fort. So yeah, if you're out there in the world doing something someplace else and you're listening to us, genuinely would really appreciate it. Although, to be honest with you, if you're not in a handful of countries that I would think to check, you might need to reach out to us on social media. Our links are all down in the description. Find me or Phil on our Instagram accounts and DM us and tell us that you've left us a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts of, I don't know, what would be an obscure country? Finland. I don't know. That's not that obscure really, but let us know. It'd be lovely. Anyway, as I told you in the intro, this week's 5-star review comes via Apple Podcasts of Great Britain, and it comes via a lovely individual called Your Average Heretic. Ooh, we do well, Phil, with the heretics.
We do. We burn them. We kill them.
Absolutely, we do that with love and tenderness. That's the look out, sir difference. But yeah, they have written amazing pod. Sorry, I'm going to cough. Oh, very dry throat today. Very dry throat. Anyway, amazing pod, 5 stars, which of course is a prerequisite appearing here in the 5-star review section. Thank you everyone who's done so. And as we've said already, please consider doing so in the future because we love having them and they help us out massively. Anyway, so great podcast. Been listening for about a year and I love it. The guys are great and it's very lighthearted and funny. 5 stars, would recommend and have done so. Thank you. There you go. An amazing 5-star review from an amazing, I assume, albeit average heretic. Cheers very much for that. Obviously means the world to us. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Thank you for supporting us. And thank you for the 5-star review. Means the world. But to elaborate on that in more detail is, of course, dear old Philip here.
Thank you, Average Heretic. We're glad you're enjoying the show. A relatively new listener, you've got a vast back catalogue to catch up on. And when you've gone all the way back to number 1, you come back and you let us know, and there'll be a special treat just for you.
Absolutely. Please do so. That would be absolutely amazing to behold. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, look, really appreciate all of it, guys. I really enjoyed episode 214. It's always great talking about Space Marine stuff because, it's quite easy to talk about because, people know what's going on with it. But yeah, that was awesome. Thanks so much for checking it out. Phil, is there any plugs or things you want to get out of the way before we say goodbye? Nothing you need to talk about right now?
No, not what I can think of. Is there meant to be?
I don't know, you might have been like, check out Beyond the Tabletop and buy some gun barrels, you scoundrels. I don't know what you normally do here.
Well, I mean, people are welcome to do that.
There you go. Boosh. Anyway, appreciate you. Thanks very much. See you in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Cheers again, Average Heretic. Goodbye.
Bye.